I'd like to call the meeting of the regular meeting of the Board of Appeals for Tuesday, April 30th. We are waiting on Bruce Bickerstaff, another board member who was late, but we are going to be short. And even with Bruce here, 5 is the minimum quorum, which means a motion. I'll have to vote until Bruce arrives, but even with Bruce, we'll have 6. So I want any applicant to be aware of the fact that they have the right to defer any action on their proposal until such time as the full board, if they feel like and that's your choice. Having said that, I will call the meeting to order, and why don't we proceed with the process, Mr. Secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first order of business is the approval of the hearing minutes. I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
First is the extension, calling BOA 667-111-151 Liverpool Street. Liverpool Street here? Right up here, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Tony Lucchese. I'm the attorney for City Point, Liverpool, with the law firm of Kokitis and Bluestein in Boston.
Could you tell us why you're looking for an extension?
We've encountered serious material impediments with starting construction. Currently, we're involved in a proceeding before FEMA having to do with the establishment of the elevation for the flood zone in that area.
What's the location? Where is it located?
In East Boston.
In East Boston, in the flood zone?
Yeah, at the time of purchase of the property, it was not in a flood zone, but since our acquisition, the maps have been redesigned.
Climate change.
And we believe that we're outside of the elevation and are in the process of getting that final determination from FEMA, which would then allow us
When does your permit expire?
May 25th.
Okay, so this is timely.
Make a motion for a one-year extension.
Second.
Is 1 year adequate?
We believe so, yes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you.
Calling board final arbiter, calling BOA 764-051 7 Jerusalem Place. Is Jerusalem Place here? Is Jerusalem Place here? All right, I'm going to hold them off to the side. Is Washington Street? Yeah. Okay, sorry. Calling the next for board final arbiter, BOA 837-788, 4623 Washington Street. Washington, right up there. Washington Street. Okay. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is John Lang. I'm appearing on behalf of Caro LLC, the proponent for this project. Supplementary materials if you.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Okay, can you tell us what the issue is?
So this matter concerns a project that was put before this board on September 11, 2018. It was the proposed construction of three-family units at 4623-4627 Washington Street in Rosendale. That matter was approved. Subsequent to the approval, the variances were challenged in court by one of the abutters, 11 Schubert Street, and request was made that we shift the location of the driveway from Schubert Street to Liz Street. We submitted plans to do just that, and we met with the neighbors on Liz Street. In the packet of materials, going back to front, I suppose, since I referenced it, there's a letter of support from the other direct abutter, 14 Liz Street, Schubert Street by implication, assuming they asked for the settlement, would be the only other direct abutter. And I don't have letters of support, but I also do have support. I can supplement this if need be with letters from 16 Liz Street.
Okay. Remind us how many parking spaces there are in the rear?
There was approved 28 spaces. As per the request of the BPDA, we're also requesting a reduction in spaces from 28 to 22 to minimize the impact and increase the green spaces on the
Okay.
property.
So these, what you just handed out shows 22.
The top one, so the top one's just an elevation. The first one, the second page shows you the proposed changes with the 22.
SD1.
SD1.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both SD1, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The third page shows you what it was proposed and approved as on September 11th.
Okay, all right. And really, I mean, I recall previewing these plans, and basically what you have done from looking at the print is moved the curb cut from the right side to the left side,
Correct.
and from a private way to a public way.
Correct. And we're also utilizing an existing curb cut which exists on Liz Street.
There isn't, oh, okay, all right, that was not clear from the plans. So the proposed curb cut on the private way will now just be eliminated.
Exactly.
Okay, well, this seems like an appropriate thing for board final arbiter. It is a de minimis change, so can I have a motion, please? Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You're all set.
Thank you.
I'm going to go back to Jerusalem Place. Is Jerusalem Place here? Okay. I'm going to go to G card, calling BOA 931-961-122 Commonwealth Avenue. This is a change of occupancy from a school to the 3 residential units, construct a 4th floor addition and roof deck, and 5 street off-street parking. Violations, Article 32, Section 4. This is in the G card applicability. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Mark Lacasse, Lacasse Law, 75 Arlington Street, Boston, Mass., attorney for the applicant. This is a GCOD only zoning case. The proposal is to convert a Bay State College building on Commonwealth Avenue into 3 residential units. And the sole issue before the board today is Article 32 compliance. We have a letter of approval from the Boston Water and Sewer Commission, which I'd like to submit to the record, approving the groundwater recharge plan.
Okay, Christian?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Christian Simonelli, Boston Groundwater Trust, and we too have the BWSC approval letter.
All right, can I have a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You're all set.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to call the 9:30 hearings. Are there any deferrals or withdrawals for 9:30? This is deferrals or withdrawals only for 9:30. Hearing none, we'll call the first case, calling BOA 911-494-91A Baker Street. This is to erect a single-family dwelling containing 4 bedrooms and 2.5 baths. The violations, Article 56, Section 8. Rear yard setback is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Attorney John Fulgini, 10 Forbes Road, Braintree. With me is Tony Ferrara, who's the general contractor on this job. As you stated, the proposal here is to build a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,400 square foot home, a new home on a 6,194 square foot lot. The zoning in this neighborhood is single-family 6,000. The only violations you can see from the refusal letter is a rear yard setback. Zoning requires 30 feet. The proposed ranges from 18.1 to 14.75. As you recall, this proposal was initially approved as of right by ISD, and a rear rebutter requested an interpretation of the shallow lot rule by this board. The board sent this matter back to ISD for further clarification, and it was determined that shallow lot rule did not apply as the lots were not in common ownership at the time of the zoning change. Since that time, we have lowered the roof line by 5.5 feet. We've moved the patio from the rear of the house to the left side of the house and added gables to the house for aesthetic reasons. We appeared before the West Roxbury Neighborhood Zoning Council, and the abutters who raised questions before supported the project at West Roxbury Neighborhood Zoning Council, as well as a letter of support from the West Roxbury Neighborhood Council.
Okay, so the drawings that we have before us, we didn't have these drawings at the time of plans preview. The drawings that we have before us reflect those changes.
They do, yes.
What are the date on those drawings? Double check, make sure we have the right one. We didn't see them before.
3/21/19.
Okay, we're all set. Okay, how are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings are adequate.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the project?
Morning, members of the board. Jack Duggan, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Just like to go on record support. As John was saying, there was issues at the beginning of the process with it being approved, and then then officially being refused. So we had to go through community process. At the first abutters meeting, there was a lot of opposition, but Mr. Ferrara worked with the neighbors, especially the two neighbors that directly abutted. They've come to a mutual compromise, so we'd like to go on support. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Anna Fonseca from Councilor O'Malley's office. We'd like to go in record of support on this project. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, on behalf of City Council Lodge Michael Flaherty, echoing the sentiments of the Mayor's office, Council to go on record in support.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Karen Foley, Councilor Sabi George's office. We want to go on record in support of this project. Thank you.
Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design review.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All set.
Thank you very much.
Calling BOA 927-192, 1 Rockwood Terrace. This is to construct a new single-family home with a two-car garage on an existing 9,008 square foot lot. The violations, Article 55, Section 9, lot width is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, members of the board. Chris Tracy from O'Neill and Associates in Boston. To my right.
When you're talking while dragging the chair, we can't hear you.
Good morning, members of the board. Chris Tracy from O'Neill and Associates in Boston. To my right is Dick Morris, our engineer. To his right is Mark Lopalato, the applicant.
Okay, you want to walk us through the application?
Absolutely. We're here seeking relief from Article 55, Section 9 of the code, lot width insufficient. Our engineer has always respectfully disagreed with the variance that we were hit with. We always thought it met the spirit and intent of the code. We believe the lot width is sufficient, but out of an abundance of caution, we went through a robust process, and we're here respectfully seeking relief from the code. But my engineer can explain that in further detail if the board would like.
Okay, is that the only violation?
That is the only violation. We are within compliance of all dimensional and use regulations of the code.
Okay, just why don't you, even though it doesn't involve other violations, why don't you just describe briefly what the project
So
is?
to continue to go forward, it is a single-family home on a separately assessed parcel of over 9,000 square feet. We're proposing a 4-bedroom, 2-car attached garage home. We engaged in a robust process with the community. We held 4 community meetings on this proposal. We made a number of concessions based on neighborhood concerns. Even though the dimensions and the size were always compliant with the code, we worked with the neighbors and made a sincere effort to make concessions when they had concessions that they requested.
I'll hear that in the testimony, I'm sure.
And it's important to note that no matter how much we shrunk the size of the home, that variance of lot width insufficiency would remain. Some of the neighborhood concerns that you will hear about, because some folks that are here are not thrilled with where we were at, they're not germane to the zoning, they're germane to design. And we've always said we will do a robust design review with the BPDA after we receive relief. We have actually kept Michael Canizzo of the BPDA abreast of the entire process that we've gone through, and he knows we are here. But the original concern they had was the height. We came down on the height. Then they had concerns about the roof, saying it was too boxy and obtrusive. We changed the design of the roof to meet that concern. They had concerns about the bay window, which we pushed back. They had concerns about the rear of the home and the number of steps.
Okay, but those are design issues.
All design.
Okay, so
Exactly.
we're only here empowered to deal with zoning violations.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And also, I will say they had some concerns about construction management, landscaping, runoff. We will work with them on all that going
Okay, I'm
forward.
sure we'll hear about that in testimony. Is the lot vacant now?
Correct. It was essentially the backyard of the home on 29 Rockwood Street that my client purchased and renovated. He didn't add any he didn't add any space to that existing home, but this was always a separately assessed parcel,
Okay.
over 9,000 square feet.
And is the curb cut that's proposed for the garage, that new or existing?
I believe both curb cuts are approved. Is that correct? Yes.
I mean, existing or new?
It will be slightly moved.
Okay. All right, were you going to show us the,
So essentially, as you can see, you know, as the neighbors, you know, met with us and told us they had concerns on the massing, we came down on that height, as you can see. We came down and sort of tried to shrink that roof and make it less boxy and obtrusive. We changed it to a hip-style roof based directly on the neighborhood concerns. You know, we tried to achieve harmony with the folks, but we felt like it was just a moving target. Some wanted us to defer today, but we felt
okay,
that...
again, these are design issues and
Absolutely.
outside the purview of the zoning board. Okay. All right, is anyone here to speak in favor of the project?
morning, members of the board. Maria Lanza, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. On behalf of my colleague Enrique Pepen, we would like to go on record in support. This project went through a full community process consisting of abutters meetings and meeting with the neighborhood groups. There were some design issues, so we would like to ask that this goes through a full BPDA design review, but at this time, we would like to support the variance. Thank you.
Anyone else? Is anyone here to speak in opposition?
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Susan Bernstein. I'm an attorney. My address is 200 Highland Avenue.
Can we stop you there
In
first,
Needham.
please? We just want to get the councilors, the elected officials on the record.
Elected officials,
Beg your
you're
pardon.
the first to speak.
Thank you.
Members of the board, Anna Fonseca, Councilor O'Malley's office. The councilor would like to go on record in opposition of this project due to the opposition of the Jamaica Hills Association and the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Karen Foley, Councilor Sabi George's office. We have received numerous emails and letters and calls opposing this project and would like to go on record in opposition. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, on behalf of City Council Elijah Michael Flaherty, echoing the sentiments of Councilor O'Malley's office, Councilor doing record in opposition.
Members of the board, Anthony Solomini, Councilor Garrison's office. We'd like to go on record in opposition to this project.
Okay, anyone else who would like to, please, come forward and testify? And anybody else, please keep your comments brief and restricted to the zoning issues.
Sure. For the record, I'm Susan Bernstein, attorney in Needham, Massachusetts. I am representing two direct abutters who own the property at 21 Rockwood Street. I just want to be brief. I've submitted a letter for the record. This is a variance request, and I don't need to instruct the board that there are 3 items, all of which must be found to be present in order to approve a variance. And they are special circumstances or conditions of the land, practical difficulty and demonstrable hardship, and harmony in the neighborhood. And I would add that we agree that there were 4 meetings conducted in the community. There were slight facade changes that were adopted by the appellant. However, they refused to give the community groups that traditionally review and support projects, they refused to give those groups the opportunity to digest the information and proceed. There are about 10 neighbors here. I think there is 1 representative who will be speaking. We respectfully request that this variance be denied. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Which neighbors are you representing?
The direct abutters, April Evans.
Yeah, so if that's the case, then there's no need for you to speak if you've already gotten someone to speak on your behalf. If you want to put your name and address on the record, that's fine. I mean, we want to keep this moving along, so.
My name is April Evans, 21 Rockwood Street.
Okay.
Due to the lack of proper process with respect to community involvement in this undertaking, we, 35 of us,
You employed
request to
someone to
oppose.
speak in your behalf.
Yes, I did.
So, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition? Please, if you're there, come up to the microphone. Put your name and address in the record, and if there's anything, if your opposition has already been covered by the attorney, then just repeat it. Let's not drag this on.
Actually, I have some hearing problems, so these microphones don't work very well, so I'm not exactly sure what the attorney said or what they said. So if I'm repeating, I apologize. My name's Alan Schwedel. I live on 14 Connery Crescent. I'm not in a butter. I'm one of the few neighbors in the neighborhood that's had a new house built next to me, so I'm not automatically opposed to new housing, and I'm not opposed to a housing on that particular lot on Rockwood Terrace. It's clear, as the speaker said, they use the term concessions. There isn't a concession suggests that they are giving in something rather than trying to work out a situation. One of the major issues is the issue of rocks, what's it called? Ledge, thank you, ledge. And they've been unwilling to simply engage in the process of finding out if there's ledge there. It's a simple matter. I realize it costs money. This is a major project where they're planning to earn quite a bit of money on the completed house. They've also bought another house, and they have sold that. So there should be money to conduct the ledge examination. They've refused to do it, and it's been the continuous process that I've observed with them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Let me ask, yes? Unless you want to speak, you line up now, or you're not going to have an opportunity to speak.
We have the whole neighborhood is here. There are many, many of us who have been to every single meeting.
What I would ask is put your names and address in the record. If you have something new to add, please do so. Otherwise, just put your names and address in the record. Go ahead.
Sure. I'm at 299 Pond Street. I am a butter of the property, and I've been at every single meeting, and I just want to say we've continually asked for the size of the project to come down and to see the building plan that as it pertains to water and blasting that ledge, and we have not seen relief on any of those points.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Jeffrey Stevens. I'm at 295 Pond Street. I'm on the same block as the proposed new building. Our concern, as has been stated, has been in developmental issues as far as drilling or any kind of excavation on this particular kind of rock. We haven't been assured that our houses won't be damaged. Another point is that the house is, in our view, completely out of character with the surrounding neighborhoods. I have been in my house since 1983. One makes a commitment to a neighborhood with a certain color of the neighborhood, and this house is very large and very tall and will be almost in our backyard, and we're not even direct abutters.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Kelly Flenti. I live at 10 Rockwood Street. I would like to go on the record to say that I agree with what the neighborhood has been saying about this project, and that there has not been a good faith effort by the builder to make an attempt to deal with the neighbors' concerns, mostly the size of the project.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anna DeVere, 10 Rockwood Terrace. I just want to also say that we've all tried to repeatedly in front of the Jamaica Hill Association as well as the Zoning Committee of Jamaica Plain to say that what we're concerned is the sizing and within the neighborhood. This is a community, it's a tight community, and I just want to say that I hope you'll listen to us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Could I have an opportunity to rebut a few of those?
I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and you can answer them.
Great.
First of all, it seems the zoning issues here appear to be relatively de minimis, but you seem to have poked a hornet's nest here, and that seems to be something you need to address. It may or may not be outside of the purview of this board, but that seems to be a problem. Second issue, with respect to ledge, I mean, that's a major issue, and I would ask you to address that.
Absolutely legitimate issue on the ledge. We don't anticipate that there is ledge there, and if there is, he will not blast. He cannot blast here. If he has to remove the ledge...
How can you not know? You haven't done borings?
We don't know for sure, but we have agreed to hire an engineer to do pre-existing studies to any interested party around us to take photos of before and after, and we would obviously remediate if there was any damage. That's a commitment we've made from the start to the neighbors.
Okay, I would have assumed that by the time you got to this level of the process, that you would have done borings to determine if there is ledge removal necessary or not. I mean, that seems a little odd to me that you haven't done that.
Do you want to speak to it, Mark?
I was just told to wait to see if we got permits, and I was willing to go out there and do test pits, and I said at the last meeting, but they told me they wanted me to do test pits with a shovel and not a machine, and that would be impossible. So
Could you just put your name on the record?
my name's Mark Lipolato.
Well, I'm sure you did that for the sake of saving money, but I have to say that's penny wise and pound foolish. If you've got ledge, I mean, anywhere in the city, there's ledge all over the city, and that's a huge issue about construction, and neighbors have absolute right to know whether there's going to be any potential disruption of their foundations depending on the removal of ledge. So, I mean, Okay.
And again, that's why we've agreed at his cost, he will hire the
Okay.
engineer to do all those
Okay,
steps.
well, I will entertain a motion at this point, but if there is an approval, it certainly has to include the issue of unit.
I'm going to make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design review, number one. Number two is specific attention to the drilling and to make sure that we don't do any work until the neighborhood is informed as to what those results are.
Absolutely.
Second that motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so you've gotten your approval. The design review needs to be robust to reflect the character of the neighborhood, and you really need to deal with the issue of ledge removal ASAP and keep people informed.
This board has our commitment that we will keep working with them on these issues.
Please do. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Calling BOA 935-705-993 to 997 High Park Avenue. This is an occupancy as a four-family, remodeling all four kitchen, bathroom, construct a new two-story addition at the corner of the house and construct new dormers on the third floor level, expand living space to the third floor, structural work in the basement. Violations, Article 69, Section 29, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 69, Section 8, a multifamily dwelling is forbidden. Article 69, Section 9, the lot area is insufficient. Article 69, Section 9, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 69, Section 9, the usable open space is insufficient. Article 69, Section 9, the building height number of stories is excessive. Article 69, Section 9, the usable open space is insufficient. And Article 69, Section 9, the rear yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Attorney Anthony Ross on behalf of the applicant. With me is Mr. Bayev Patel, who's the owner of the property.
Okay, you want to walk us through the application?
This is an existing four-unit building or pre-existing four-unit building that my clients purchased last year. There seems to be a number of violations cited, but all of them are existing conditions related to the legalization or the confirmation of the legal status of the building as a four-unit building. The modest addition or enlargement of the property that's proposed involves no change in the footprint. Instead involves enclosing two small first-floor porches that are existing and enlarging the existing dormers on the second floor to improve the living space of the four existing units. The property, I have the photograph of it, and I also have the assessing records. The property's been assessed by the City of Boston as far back as the assessing records go as a four-unit building. I'll be happy to submit this along with the photograph. And so the application here primarily is to legalize an existing condition. The building had decades of deferred maintenance, including the roof was leaking into one of the units and the ceiling was down. And so when my clients bought it and undertook to do the renovations to put this back into service as four units, they wanted to do some minor upgrades. And the things that their architect determined were prudent would be to enclose the two first-floor porches in the rear of the building, won't be seen from the street, and also to enlarge the dormers to improve the existing third-floor space. So the layout of the building, as it has been since at least 1985, and probably longer than that, is there are two units on the first floor that are two-bedroom units, and there are two units on the second and third floors. And the second and third floor units have one...
What's the size of the various units?
Do you know exactly the size? The architect didn't note them on the plans, but I believe the first floor units are about 900 square feet, and the second and third floor units are about 1,200 square feet.
Okay.
And so...
So it's been used as a four-family for all these years?
All these years.
How's it been assessed?
It's been assessed as a four-unit building since at least 1985. I've submitted the assessing records.
And or is it separately metered?
Yes, yeah. 4 separate meters.
So for every practical purpose, it's functioned as a four-family?
That's correct. And so the idea here is to renovate it, and in the process of renovating it, to enlarge the third-floor dormers to improve the existing third-floor space. So the upper units on the second and third floors, the access to the attic area, if you want to call it that, was already existing. It was already being used as a third-floor bedroom.
Okay, and does the plans for renovation include sprinkling the property?
No.
I believe that you'll be required by code to do that.
Well, we're here for the zoning approval, Mr. Chairman. Once we get to the building code approval, we'll do whatever the building department requires.
Okay, I'm just telling you.
Yes.
That's not, you're not asking for building code relief and you wouldn't get it?
No.
Okay.
Right.
In the basement use, the application says structural work. Will there be any living space in the basement or just?
No, not at all. Just to improve the condition of the building.
And all the utilities are in the basement now currently?
That's right.
Okay. How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall? Drawings adequate. Is anyone here to speak on behalf of the applicant?
I should add, there was a community meeting and there was no
I'm
opposition.
sure I will hear that from testimony.
Good morning, members of the board. Maria Lanza, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. On behalf of my colleague Brian Flynn, we would like to go on record in support. There was a community meeting held for this project on March 6th, and it received full support from the abutters and the community at large. Thank you.
Morning, members of the board. Walter Applewhite, Council McCarthy's office. We'd also like to go on record as support.
Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve with, Jeff, do we need it? Yeah, BPDA.
Yeah, because, go ahead, sorry.
Just for the dormer, right?
Yeah, for the dormer and if there's building code stuff.
Yeah.
So,
So we'll approve it with continued BPDA design review.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No, sir.
calling BOA 928-835, 29 to 31 Mather Street. This to legalize an already built-up double dormer. The violation is Article 9, Section 9-1, extension of reconstruction of a non-conforming use building. Name and address for the record, please.
Peter Champagne, homeowner.
Okay, can you walk us through the process?
Yes. We did the double dormer, the house.
Can you speak up, please?
Yes.
You just got to speak up, that's just a...
That records, that doesn't amplify.
Okay, thanks. The house is two families side by side, and then we did the dormer side by side, 80 square feet, 40 and 40, just to improve the headroom for the stairs, the dormer. At the time of the final inspection, the inspector requested a long form permit. We have the drawing. Would you like to see it?
Okay, but the work is already done?
Yes. And we have all the rough inspection, missing the final. So the inspector requested for the long form permit, that's why.
Did you start the work before you got the building permit?
No, the inspector that came in, they approved the rough, and it was on the final. A different inspector came in, he said, you guys need to go ahead.
So when you originally got the building permit, they didn't tell you you needed zoning relief?
Not at all. No.
Okay, because we usually are not terribly fond of taking cases where the work's already been done after the fact.
That's a shock.
Okay, all right. Okay, seems pretty straightforward. Mr. Cadell, how are the drawings?
Drawings are adequate.
Okay, is there anyone here to testify in behalf of the proponent?
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Patrick Vandell, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. There was an abutters meeting held with no opposition from the neighborhood. We'd like to go on record in support of this project.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? Is the work completely done or still underway?
Completely done.
Completely done. Okay. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You're all set.
Thank you.
Calling BOA 931-983, 118 to 120 Granite Avenue. This is a roof deck. The violation is Article 9, Section 1, extension of a non-conforming use, 3F and a 1F sub-district. Name and address for the record, please.
Daniel Perry, 118 Granite Ave, Dorchester.
Okay, can you describe your application, please? Tell us what you're doing.
I'm building a roof deck on the roof wall. This is a three-family.
They put the roof deck on the roof.
Good place to put it.
Will it only be used by the top unit?
Correct.
Okay, and I think from the plan, access is through a hatch and a spiral staircase.
Correct.
Okay. Pretty straightforward. How are the drawings, Mr. Gonzalez?
Drawings are adequate.
Is anyone here to speak in favor of the project?
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Patrick Vandell, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to go on record in support of this project.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joe McEachran, City Council, Frank Baker's office, like to go on record in support.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve with BPDA.
No.
We don't need it? No, just motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You're all set.
Calling BOA 923-261, 1674 to 1680 Dorchester Avenue. Is Dorchester Avenue here? 1674 to 680, 1680. Hold that off to the side. Calling the next case, calling BOA 926-161, 1970 Dorchester Avenue. This is erect a new 5-story building for 56 residential units with 2 retail spaces on grade. 5 parking spaces will be at the back of the building off of Beale Street, a common roof deck and head house on the roof. The violation, Article 65, Section 41, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 65, Section 9, additional lot area is insufficient. Article 65, Section 9, the floor to area ratio is excessive. Article 65, Section 9, the building height is excessive in stories. Article 65, Section 9, the building height is excessive in feet. Article 65, Section 9, the front yard is insufficient. And Article 65, Section 9, the side yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Joseph Feaster from the law firm of McKenzie & Associates, 183 State Street, Suite 6, Boston 02109. To my left is my colleague Timothy Frazier from the law firm, who actually will do the presentation this morning. To my right is James Christopher from the architectural firm of Rose Christopher Architects. To his right is Michael Hearn, who's one of the principals of the development, and also Tim Long to his right. So, if you will, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Frazier will do the presentation.
Go ahead.
Morning, members of the board. So the applicant in this case proposes a 5-story multi-use building. The project consists of 56 rental units. The breakdown of that is 49 market rate units and 7 IDP units. In addition, there's approximately 3,200 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor. There's a residential gym and media area also on the ground floor, as well as a community room in a roof deck at the top floor. The project also consists of 56 bicycle storage spaces and 5 garage and parking spaces. As part of this process, the applicant has completed an extensive community process. We've met with the Ashmont Hill Civic Association, we've met with the Ashmont Main Street Association, as well as the abutters on Beale Street and other neighborhood associations. On January 24th, the BPDA held their public hearing. As part of that, the applicant is going to be donating $35,000 to the BPDA for improvements planned in that area, the Ashmont area, as well as $5,000 towards community events also held in the Dorchester area. And then finally, on April 11th, we presented again before the BRA, which recommended a certificate of approval for the project. One last thing to note is that this is obviously a transit-oriented project. It's directly adjacent to the Ashmont Red Line Station. I can pass it over to Mr. Christopher from the architect's office now, who will give you some additional details or have any questions that you have.
Okay, well, is it currently a vacant lot? What is currently use?
Currently a vacant lot.
Okay. Is there something that used to be on it, or?
Many years ago, it was housing.
Okay. This is wood frame over podium, standard construction?
Correct.
Okay, has the contractor been selected for the project?
No, that's not yet.
Have you found tenants for the commercial retail space on the first floor?
No.
What kinds of uses are you considering?
We put it out to Main Streets and some of the abutters, and they're looking for probably a food service, restaurant, maybe a breakfast, Starbucks, something like that.
Okay. And how many, 56 units, is that correct?
Correct.
How many are affordable?
7.
All right, how are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings are adequate.
Is anyone here to speak in favor of the project?
I have some questions.
Oh,
I have some questions.
Okay. Hang on for questions from the member of the board.
Could you give me the breakdown of the units?
Sure. The unit mix is 32 studio units and 24 one-bedroom units. They range from 450 square feet to 629 square feet for the studios and 625 square feet to 759 square feet for the one bedrooms.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, it says, you said you met with Ashmont Hill. Did you meet with Ashmont Adams?
Yes, we did.
You met with Ashmont Adams
We
also?
did, on Minor Street at the Plaza Result.
And did they have a letter of support?
I don't know if they sent it in or not. We did have a meeting.
Okay.
Okay, anyone here to speak on behalf of the project?
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Patrick Vandell, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. To the applicant's statement, they did meet with multiple civic associations in the area, including Ashmont Hill, Ashmont Adams, Peabody Slope. To the extent those civics sent letters of support, I'm not sure, but they did have multiple meetings with them and received extensive support from abutters, specifically on Beale Street, where they held several informal abutters meetings to deal with many of their concerns, which were met. Greater Ashmont Main Streets also met with the applicant, and their executive director is here today to speak to those conversations, but we'd like to go on record in support of this project proposal.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joe McGeckran, City Council, and Frank Baker's office would like to echo the sentiments of the mayor's office and go in support.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Karen Foley, Council Wasabi George's office, would like to go on record in support of this project. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, on behalf of City Council, Michael Flaherty, Council on record in support.
Okay, I see a number of people lined up. Please try not to repeat each other, just...
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Michael Perez, representing the Carpenters Union. In behalf of Hundreds of Union Carpenters that live and work throughout the city of Boston, I want to go on record of support.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Jen Carte with Greater Ashmont Main Street. This project fits well within our vision for transit-oriented Dorchester Ave and increasing density without displacement. I would also highlight their use of the city resident sticker program, the requirement that residents not be allowed to get a residential sticker. Transit-oriented renters in this program and the kind of housing that's really desperately needed in the crisis we're in right now.
Peabody Slope Neighborhood Association. I'd like to go on record in support of this. I have no objections to creating housing where none existed before. Thank you.
My name is Errol Ace. I'm a board member of the Peabody Slope Association. I would also like to go in support of the project, which actually completes the whole section of Peabody Square area, the revitalization of the various other buildings that have been approved there and will be really important in creating foot traffic in this particular area. Thank you.
My name is Chris Stanley. I live at 21 Caruth Street in Dorchester. I'm also representing Trinity Financial. We developed the Treadmark building and Caruth building directly adjacent to this project. We're in support of this project. We think it's a great idea for this area. We think it'll bring a lot more vitality to Peabody Square. We'd encourage the applicants to include high-quality materials like our buildings on the Dorchester Avenue, as well as looking at upletting the project the way we have uplit our projects. Thank you.
We always encourage high-quality materials and high-quality contractors.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Matt Zoller, MPZ Development, formerly with Trinity Financial, project manager for the Treadmark building, spoke with the applicant. This is a great project, supports neighborhood growth and fills in a missing tooth. I support the project.
Okay, we like filling missing teeth. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion, please?
Before we motion, I have one more question. Is this part of the pilot program with the city with the compact units, or are you guys just adhering to no stickers for owners for parking?
Well, it's a combination of that because we started the project before they issued the pilot.
Okay.
So they gave us some guidelines to go by and we try to stay as close to that as possible.
Okay. I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design review and continue outreach to the neighborhood.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? You're all set.
Thank you. Calling BOA 917-818, 19 Inwood Street. What? This is to build first floor rear addition. The violations, Article 9, Section 1, extension of non-conforming use. Violation, Article 65, Section 9, rear yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Cesar De Silva, representing my client here.
Excuse me, sir, excuse me.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. Could you take your conversations outside, please? We've got to continue here.
Why don't we just wait until everybody exits?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We are before you applying here, asking for relief on Article 9, Section 10, which is extension of non-conforming, and 65, Section 9, rear yard insufficient. I'm sorry repeating what you mentioned already, but we would like to have your support. We've been through the community process.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Just explain exactly what it is that this application...
It's a three-family, and he has only 2 bedrooms. He likes to have another bedroom in his, so he's having a 1-bedroom addition on the first floor of a 3-decker. That's it.
Okay, so it's 1-bedroom rear addition.
Correct.
Okay, but it only goes 1 story high.
Floor and the deck on top.
Okay.
It is, I think, just a roof on top.
Okay, and the violations are what?
The violation is extension of non-conforming, which most of the 3-deckers are non-conforming, and insufficient rear yard, but which shows on...
Okay, what is the dimension from the back of the addition to the rear lot line?
I think we have another 6 feet there from the addition to the lot line.
Okay, and what's required?
I believe there, I'm not sure right now, I have it in front of me, because I have it right here, the plot plan. If I may pass 4 feet, if I may pass.
How deep is the addition? I guess that's what I'm asking.
The addition, okay, is only 13 feet, the room.
13?
13 feet, which inside is 12 feet for the room.
How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anyone here to speak on behalf of the opponent?
Morning, Chairman, members of the board. Christine Brandeo, Mayor's Office, Neighborhood Services. I'd like to go on record in support. We had an abutters meeting, and they've gone to the Civic several times, and they are also in support. Thank you.
Morning, Chairman, members of the board. Dustin Gardner on behalf of City Council President Andrea Kimball's office. We'd like to go on record in support.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joe McEachran, City Councilor, Frank Baker's office would like to go on record in support.
Is anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There is a rear addition. Do you want design review?
Not for a bedroom.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You're all set.
Thank you, Jim.
Calling BOA 904-945, 1167 Dorchester Avenue. This is a change of option to include a takeout, coffee, and an existing pharmacy. The violation is Article 65, Section 8. Takeout coffee is a forbidden use. Article 9, Section 2, change in non-conforming use. Name and address for the record, please. You got to speak up, look. Can't hear you.
My name is John. I'm an owner of pharmacy, and the pharmacy is 1,200 square feet on the first floor, commercial, and the pharmacy on the back side only 400 square feet. The front side is 800 square feet left, and most likely we use for OTC product. And
what kind of products?
We sell some OTC product for the pharmacy, and the rest is empty. So we try to create foot traffic for the pharmacy, and also our customer, they want to stop by and then do one thing, coffee, and then pick up prescription. So that's why we try to.
So what food types will this takeout include? Just coffee?
We just want to put 2 cold drink refrigerator and the dispenser coffee for the customer. That's all.
What will be in the refrigerator?
We put some cold drink like soda, Pepsi.
So just cold drinks and coffee, no food?
No food.
Okay, so so you're not putting any preparation in there?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, that seems pretty simple. How are the drawings that you can do?
Drawings are adequate.
Okay, is anyone here to speak in favor of that? By the way, have you ever done any takeout before?
No, we don't, but we ask for fans and all people they supporting, and then they will.
No, I
willing to
understand,
help.
but the issue is that there's a certain protocol in the city about how to handle takeout stuff. So if you have not done it before, you need to check with the Office of Neighborhood Services to make sure that you know all the provisions. But go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Patrick Vandell, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to go on record in support of this project.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joe McEachran, City Councilor, Frank Baker's office would like to go on record in support.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
With the usual takeout language?
With the usual takeout language, there's no signage changes, or you're not going to advertise outside of your store.
We don't do any advertise. We whenever customer coming to the store, we do.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Could the representative from ONS discuss the takeout language with the, you're all set.
Calling the next two cases, calling BOA 918-718, 93 Ellington Street. Companion case BOA 918-720, 95 Ellington Street. This is for 93 Ellington. This is subdivide 93 with 6,866 square feet into two lots, consisting of 93 Ellington with 2,841 square feet and 95 Ellington, the new lot, with 4,025 square feet. The violations, Article 60, Section 9, additional lot area is insufficient. Article 60, Section 9, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 60, Section 9, the usable open space is insufficient. Article 60, Section 9, the side yard is insufficient. This is for 95 Ellington Street. This is to build a new three-family building on an existing lot. The violations are the same as the previous at 93 Ellington, so I will not read the violations. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Attorney Tim Schofield, representing the applicant, Schofield Law Group, 20 Park Plaza, Boston. With me is the applicant, Ronan Ryan, and the architect, Paul Yu.
Okay, want to proceed and describe the project?
Excuse me.
project right now-
Two seconds, Counselor. I just want to make sure that the front yard, Article 60, Section 9, front yard is insufficient on 95.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the situation is currently, Mr. Ryan owns a three-family at 93 Ellington. Next to it is a vacant lot that's currently part of the same lot. I'd like to build a new three-family in that vacant lot. The proposed building, by doing so, of course, by subdividing, he's going to put 93 into violation as well as far as some of the dimensional requirements. So we need relief on both lots, but really what we're here for is to hopefully construct a new three-family, 2 3-bedrooms and a 4-bedroom, same height as the existing property next door. And this street is basically mostly 3 families, a few 2 families. There are a few vacant lots.
Is the design consistent with the one next door?
It is. It is. Both of them are, they're not sort of triple-decker, traditional Dorchester triple-deckers. They're more boxy-looking, brick style. The existing one is a brick one. This will not be brick, but similar sort of box 3-story style. Each unit will have a parking space as well. The intent is to keep measure in the rear. In the rear, correct, to go around the side, which is one of the reasons we potentially could have squeezed this in dimensionally, but then we wouldn't have been able to have the driveway to go to the back to have the 3 parking spaces. We met 3 times with Erie Ellington Neighborhood Association. In fact, before we even designed the property, to see if they wanted parking versus green space, because obviously that's a discussion in the city right now. They felt strongly about having at least 1 parking space per unit. Met with them 3 times. They have approved the project. Had an abutters meeting. Just a few folks showed up, a couple in support. It's a good project, and I'll entertain any questions that you have.
Okay. Is the basement living space?
It is. It will.
And what's the height of the basement, floor to ceiling? I think, as I recall from doing the previous 7.6.
Yeah, we have a minimum 7.6.
That's okay. And is there separation of the utilities in the basement and access from all the units?
Yes. We'll have mechanical space in each unit. Electrical.
Each unit will have its own? Or it's all in the basement?
It's all in the basement.
Okay. All right.
Accessible by each unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And will it be sprinkled?
Yes.
Okay. The drawings are adequate. Any questions from the board? Is anyone here to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Christine Brandeo, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I'd like to go on record in support. They've had a butters meeting and they've been to the Civic several times and they are also in support. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dustin Gardner on behalf of City Council President Andrea Kimball's office. We'd also like to go on record in support.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design review.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You're all set.
Calling BOA 931-967-101 Howard Avenue. This is a new three-family construction on an empty lot with 3 on-site parking spaces in the rear. The violation is Article 50, Section 29. The required lot width is insufficient. Article 50, Section 29, the lot frontage is insufficient. Article 50, Section 29, lot size to erect a three-family dwelling is insufficient. Article 50, Section 29, the lot area for additional units is insufficient. Article 50, Section 29, the floor to area ratio is excessive. Article 50, Section 29, the usable open space is insufficient. Article 50, Section 29, the front yard setback requirement is insufficient. And Article 50, Section 29, the side yard setback requirement is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Attorney Derek Small, of the business address of 21 Dobson Road, Braintree, Mass. With me today is Matt Mueller from Q Architects, the architect of the project. Today we're here seeking relief to erect a 3-family dwelling with 3 parking spaces on a vacant lot. The zoning subdistrict for the area is 3 of 4,000. Our lot size is approximately 3,100 square feet. The violations are as follows. Lot size, 4,000, we have 3,100 square feet, as I just said. Lot width, the requirement is 45 feet. We have 36 feet. The FAR, required FAR for this area is 0.8. We're proposing 1.03. The open space is 650 square feet. The unit, we have 436. Front yard setback is 20 feet. We have 5.5. Side yard setback is 10, and we have 3. With regard to the cleaning process, Mr. Chairman, we had a butters meeting sponsored by the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, and we also met with Project Right earlier in the year. The units will consist of 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and be approximately 1,060 square feet.
These are for sale or rental?
These are going to be for sale.
I'm looking at the plot plan. It looks like the entire lot, except for the footprint of the house, will be paved for the driveway, parking, no green space at all.
Most of it, yes.
Yeah. How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the project?
Good morning, members of the board. Maria Lanza, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. On behalf of my colleague Jessica Thomas, we would like to go on record in support. This project did complete a full community process, and neighbors did express concerns with the upkeep of the empty lot, but are looking forward to seeing some housing stock there. Thank you.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion?
A motion to approve.
BPDA design review.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. You're all set.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, have a good day.
Calling BOA 825-727-1078 to 1082 Dorchester Avenue. This is to raise a single-story building and erect a 3-story building on the same footprint, foundation to remain. First level restaurant with 36 takeout, and second and third floor, 2 units each. The violation is Article 65, Section 15. Restaurant with takeout is conditional. Article 65, Section 15, a multifamily dwelling is conditional. Article 65, Section 16, the floor to area ratio is excessive. Article 65, Section 16, the usable open space is insufficient. Article 65, Section 16, the rear yard is insufficient. Article 65, Section 41, off-street parking is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the board.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
You're on autopilot, Mr.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. My name is George Rancy. I'm attorney with the business address of 350 West Broadway in South Boston. Mr. Chairman, this is members. This is an application for a 3-story building at 1078, 1082 Dorchester Avenue in South Boston. The owner, my client, is Peter Lee, who's in the hearing room at the back. The building is known as the former site of Theo's Pizza. The building that would replace it, the new building, would be a three-story building. First floor would still be commercial space. The proposal is to bring back a pizza restaurant with takeout, so there is a request for a conditional use permit for that takeout. The reason why that simply doesn't continue is because of the non-use of the existing conditional use permit for takeout. Theo's Pizza has been closed for some time. That commercial space would be approximately 1,403 square feet. During community process, neighbors expressed a profound interest in making sure that there's an adequate trash room in the first floor of the building, both the commercial and residential trash. And were this matter to be approved by the board, we would make sure through the BRA's design review process that adequate storage for trash and also for bicycles, for that matter, would be provided in the first floor. The second and third floors are very similar. There are two one-bedroom units on each floor. The second floor has a 736 square foot and a 670 square foot one bedroom. The third floor, a 736 square foot and a 704 square foot one bedroom. There is no parking. This building is located on the corner. As I said, the first floor is dedicated to the restaurant with takeout use, as well as building mechanicals, trash storage room, etc. The site is located very close to Savin Hill T-Stop. It is approximately a 6-minute walk to Savin Hill Red Line, up Savin Hill or down Savin Hill Avenue from the site. The building height is not violated. Zoning is 36 feet. We do have a violation cited for excessive FAR. The FAR in the district, which is an LC, local convenience district, under Article 65, the Dorchester Neighborhood District. The resulting FAR here would be 2.6. The maximum FAR is 1.0. With the 4 units, this constitutes a multi-family dwelling, which is also a conditional use, like the restaurant with takeout, in this LC district. There's a usable open space insufficiency. The building essentially occupies the entirety of the site. It's being rebuilt essentially according to its current dimensions up to a level of 3 stories, and there is no roof deck proposed. 50 square feet per unit is required in the district, so a 200 square foot roof deck could provide usable open space, but as we know, in densely packed residential neighborhoods, roof decks come with their own issues, and there is no proposed roof deck for the building. There's a rear yard insufficiency. This is the same insufficiency that the existing building has, which would be replicated with the new 3-story building, and I mentioned the off-street parking insufficiency. That's a summary of the project and the zoning. I'll take any questions that members may have.
So there's 1 unit on the first floor and 2 units each on the second and third?
Yeah, the first floor is the commercial unit.
Oh, so it's 4 units altogether?
Correct, and then the second floor and third floor each have 2 one-bedrooms.
And are they for sale or for rent?
These are going to be rental units. My client typically keeps his properties as rentals.
And the restaurant, the pizza place that is going in, is there already a lease signed with them? Is it identified, or this is what you're projecting?
Projecting.
So we should not act on the takeout. They should have to be a separate process for that.
Yeah, arguably yes, because we don't have the operator.
It's for the applicant.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we will not act on that. Okay. How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings are adequate. On the second floor, I don't see a mechanical room drawn out for unit 2.
Yeah, I have to say I don't know why that's the case. The floor plans do have to be further fleshed out. I mean, as I said, the first floor plan is going to change because of the need for a trash room. So location of mechanicals, if again this were to be approved, we'll make sure that, or the BPDA will make sure that the floor plans are adequate in terms of utilities, mechanicals, and storage.
I mean, yeah, that will be part of the design review, but we're answering you. It should be in the plans that we look at too.
Right, but again, I don't know why that is the case. I don't know, I mean, it appears that each unit is served by its own mechanical room. The architect isn't here, so I'm not certain why it's not showing that. It may simply be...
I guess the rent in that unit is lower, right?
No, but the washer dryers are positioned near the mechanical area, so it may simply be a case of, the fact that it just wasn't put into that second floor plan of Unit 2.
Okay, we're not going to sign off on this until we get an updated set of drawings that show it's adequate. Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Point, Mr. Cadell, yes.
In terms of the drawings, there's no outline as to where the trash room is going to be as connected?
Correct. Yeah, that's something that will be in, we'll have an updated set of drawings so the board can hold signature until those are submitted.
How long will it take to get that?
I would have to speak with the architect, but I will say nothing gets done in less than 2 weeks. So I would hope to have it by the time the board next meets. We're not meeting next, no, next meeting is May 7th. It will not be by then. It will be by the following board meeting, I believe.
Okay, well, good catch, Mr. Kindell. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the project?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Patrick Vandell, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This went through a robust community process, including 2 abutters meetings and several meetings with the Columbia Savin Hill Civic Association. The applicant did meet many of the concerns, including the option for an internal trash holding area, and did meet many of the design concerns. We would request continued BPDA design review, but would like to go on record in support of this at this time.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joe McEachran, City Council, Frank Baker's office, we'd like to go on record in support.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, on behalf of City Council at Large, Michael Flaherty, Council to go on record in support.
Chairman of the board, members of the board, Karen Foley, Council Wasabi George's office, would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design review. We're going to hold our signatures until we get that updated drawings.
And does that not include the conditional use of takeout?
It does not include the conditional use of takeout.
It does not include the conditional use of takeout.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
It's now 10:40. I'm going to call 10:30. Are there any withdrawals or deferrals for 10:30? Counselor, address, please.
Both 127 and 131 East Cottage Street, Ward 7.
For the record, calling VOA 906-287-127 East Cottage Street. Companion case VOA 906-288-131 East Cottage Street. Name and address for the record, please.
Jeff Drago with Drago and Toscano with an address of 15 Broad Street. We're seeking a deferral today from the board. We were prepared to move forward on advice of the mayor's office and some abutters. They're asking us to continue to work with the abutters some additional changes. Should be able to do that relatively quickly.
Could you speak up? I can't hear
I'm
what you
sorry.
said.
On advice of the mayor's office and some of the abutters, they were asking us to defer, to make some additional changes to the project. We should be able to do that relatively quickly.
Okay.
Can I have a motion?
Motion to defer.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we have a date?
A date of 6/11.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other deferrals or withdrawals for 10:30?
As long as the secretary is requesting deferrals and withdrawals for 10:30, I will make the same announcement that I made at beginning of the 9:30 hearings, which is we are not a full board, and if anybody in the 10:30 case chooses to defer, you have the right to do so until such time as there is a full board to hear the case.
I'm going to call the last case for the 9:30s, BOA 909-724-105 West Springfield Street. This is to construct an exterior deck on the rear of the first floor. The violations, Article 64, Section 9, the rear yard is insufficient, and Article 64, Section 9.4, townhouse row house extension.
Good morning, Chairman and the board members.
Please close the door in the rear. And I'm sorry, just speak up. You know what it's like in here.
This proposal is to install a deck on the first floor. And the reason we're here is because the rear yard setback is not adequate. The rear yard is in fact very small, approximately 20 feet deep. The abutter at the rear has their yard extending entirely out toward Newland Street, which is one of the streets that abuts 105 West Springfield Street. The deck is entirely invisible from the street due to the fact that it's lower than the abutting fences, et cetera, from the neighborhood.
So what is the current distance from the rear of the house to the lot line?
I'm sorry.
The distance from the existing house to the lot line is how far?
It's 20 feet.
And how far is the deck going to extend into that 20 feet?
The deck will extend, the setback is 7 feet, so 13 feet. Yes.
All right, thank you. On the drawings, Mr. Kendall.
Drawings adequate.
Is anyone here to speak on behalf of the proponent?
Members of the board, Maria Lanza, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. On behalf of my colleague Faisal Sharif, we would like to go in record and support. This is a modest deck proposal. The building owner is a longtime South End resident, and we held an abutters meeting for this project, and they did receive support from their direct abutters. Thank you.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion?
I'm going to make a motion to approve, just straight approval.
Yeah.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Now I'm going to go back to some cases from earlier. 930 BOA 923-261, 1674 to 1680 Dorchester Avenue. Are you here? I'm going to make a motion for denial without prejudice.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
And I'm going to go back to the extensions, the board final arbiter that I called at 9:30 at the beginning of this morning. Jerusalem Place, are you here? Is 7 and 5 Jerusalem Place here? I'll make a motion for denial without prejudice.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Now we'll go to the first case for 10:30. Calling BOA, BOA 922-047, 613 to 619 East Broadway. This is a change of occupancy from stores to a nail tanning salon, stores and restaurants, violations Article 27S, Section 5. This is in the South Boston iPod. Article 68, Section 7. The restaurant is a conditional use. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Mark Lacasse, Lacasse Law, 75 Arlington Street, Boston, Mass. I'm actually covering this case this morning for attorney Kristen Scanlon, who is not feeling well and asked me to cover this for her. To my right are the owners of this proposed restaurant, Andy Fadus and Matthew Thayer, who are the proprietors of American Provisions right next door at the corner of East Broadway and I Street, where they've operated that store for the past 8 years. The proposal before you is to change the occupancy from stores and nail and tanning to stores and restaurant. The two zoning issues are, one is an iPod permit, because this is Article 68 in South Boston. The second is a conditional use permit under Article 68-7 as a restaurant as a conditional use. There is no takeout proposed for this restaurant. The concept is a small neighborhood restaurant, wine bar with 28 seats, no TVs, quiet, different than the other kinds of larger, loud restaurants in the neighborhood. And they will draw upon their American Provisions store for food, locally sourced items on the menu, so something decidedly very different for South Boston. It's a 1,900 square foot restaurant, and the hours of operation will be 4 p.m. to midnight, so it's dinner only. And they've demonstrated great success in the neighborhood, and this proposal has received significant support through the community review process.
Will the beer and liquor license be part of it?
Beer and wine, yes. They are currently in that process.
Non-noisy restaurant.
Non-noisy, quiet restaurant for older people like us.
How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall? Drawings adequate. Any questions from the board? Is anyone here to speak in favor of the project?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Haley Dillon from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to go on record in support of this project.
Madam of the Chair, members of the board,
Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support of this proposal. There was an unanimous support from the Gate of Heaven Neighborhood Association and positive feedback from the neighbors. Thank you.
Chairman, members of the board, Karen Foley, Councilor Asabi George's office. Since American Provisions opened at I Am Broadway, they've been a tremendous ally with the neighborhoods. We all support them, and we want to go on record in support of the project. Thank you.
Good morning, board. My name is Tim Long. I'm a resident on East Broadway, near the location, and I'm in full support of the project. They've been great owners the last 8 years, and I wish them luck. Thank you.
Is anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion, please?
I want to make a motion to approve. In that motion, can I make sure that you guys add another one of those in Dorchester somewhere?
Noisy.
No, on a serious note, I'm going to make a motion to approve without BPD, just approve, straight approval.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? You're all set. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Calling the next case. Calling BOA 882-215, 111 B Street. This is to frame out a new roof deck. Violations, Article 68, Section 8. Adding a roof deck worsens the existing building height. Article 68, Section 29, the roof deck is not properly set back and exceeds the maximum building height allowed. Name and address for the record, please.
Tom Pujala, 111 B Street. Just looking at to build a new roof deck, new private roof deck above my unit.
This is a 3-unit.
It's an 8-unit building.
It's an 8-unit building, but this roof deck will be for your...
Just for my unit.
And what will the access to the roof?
It'll be a minimal head house.
A minimal head house.
It was, so ISD required because the building is over 4 stories for egress purposes.
The gentleman to your left is this is part of that requirement. Yes. Hello. Nice to see you. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. How are the drawings, Mr. Cadell? Drawings are ready. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the project?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Haley Dillon from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to go ahead and support this project.
Can I just, you have an elevation? Is the head house set back so it's not...
It is. It's in the middle of the roof.
So how visible is it from the street?
So my neighbors actually are building a similar roof deck. They have the same approval. It's basically on the same line as that. So it depends. From B Street, probably not visible, but on West Broadway it might be.
And is anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion, please?
I'm making a motion to approve. I think you'll need, you have a roof deck there now?
Yes, my neighbors were approved last year.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All set.
Thank you.
Calling VOA 878-714, 72 Dresser Street. This is to combine parcels into a new single lot to be 5,049 square feet, erect a new 5-story multifamily dwelling for 8 units with roof deck, proposed 8 off-street parking. Violation Article 27S, Section 5, it's in the South Boston iPod. Article 68, Section 33, off-street parking and loading requirements is insufficient. Article 68, Section 8, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 68, Section 8, the building height is excessive in feet. Article 68, Section 8, the front yard is insufficient. And Article 68, Section 8, the rear yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Mr. Chairman, my name is, and members of the board, good morning. My name is Daniel Toscano from Drago and Toscano, located at 15 Broad Street, Suite 610, Boston, Mass. 02109. We're here requesting your approval to support an 8-family residential dwelling. To my immediate right is the architect, is James Christopher from RCA. To my far right is Ed Iorio, whose family has owned this property located at 72 Dresser Street for approximately 50 years and like to develop the property. So what we're proposing is right now is an empty lot to erect a 5-story building with 8 residential units. The residential units will be approximately, they're all 3-bedroom residential units at over 1,500 square feet, approximately 1,573 square feet for many of the units. The other 4 units will be approximately 1,583 square feet, so good-sized residential units. What we're proposing on the basement level, we're going to put storage for each of the residential units. It's going to be
full storage units in the basement with mechanicals and more storage. And on the ground level, we're going to have 8 residential parking spots. We're going to have 1 parking spot per unit. And moving up to floor number 2, 3, 4, and 5, we're going to have 2 units per floor. And on the roof, we're going to have a small roof deck that is approximately 314 square feet for the residents. By applying for the building permits, we have encountered some zoning code violations, and I'll go through them. One is, as the chair, the secretary mentioned, it's in an iPod district, so we were working with BPDA for design review. The off-street parking, the code requires us to have 1.5 parking spots per unit, which would be 12 parking spots for the new building. We are proposing 8 parking spots. We're shy of 4 parking spots, but we're having 1 parking spot per unit. The floor area ratio, the code requires us is at 2. We are at, with the proposal, we are at 2.7. So it's a little slightly higher than what's required. The building height is, requirements by code is 40 feet. We are at 50 feet in height with this proposal. The front yard insufficiency violation is supposed to be at 5, but this is a moto. Most of the going to be up to the property line and sidewalk, which is consistent with everything that is all the properties that are on Dresser Street that are all up on the sidewalk. So we would be, if we set it back, we'd be in violation of the moto as well. So, and then the rear yard insufficient, we are requiring 15 feet, but by code, but we're setting it back 10 feet, so we're shy of 5 feet on the setback. So we're setting it back 10 feet. Happy to answer any questions in regards to the design of the.
Okay, so this is 5 stories?
5 stories.
How does that fit in with the streetscape? What are the other buildings?
So the properties, there's been some development on West First Street that is consistent with the properties on West First Street. Across the street on Dresser Street, most of them are slightly smaller, probably about 4-story building, a little bit less, but the ones on West First Street are consistent, especially the ones behind us and facing Dresser Street to the right of us.
And there's a roof deck and access is through the elevator in the head house?
Correct. There's a common lobby, and the elevator goes all the way up. It's about 312 square feet.
So this is accessible to...
It is accessible to the entire building, and each unit has a small balcony contained within it as well.
Okay. Mr. Kendall was pointing out that there's both a mechanical room in the basement and also mechanical rooms in each unit.
Correct.
How's that divided up?
So in the basement, the mechanical and storage, each unit will have a split system, a combi system in it for HVAC, and then in the basement there'll be the additional mechanical spaces to include the electrical panels and that sort of stuff, as well as the sprinkler room will be in the basement.
Okay. How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the project?
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Haley Dillon, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to go ahead in support of this project.
Morning, members of the board. Minor Perez with the Carpenter Senior. We'd like to go on record of support of this project.
Is anyone here to speak in opposition?
Members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in opposition to this project due to concerns from neighbors about community process. No one from the community attended a second abutters meeting that was held at the condom. And abutters asked for another meeting upon hearing about the CBA, and development team was not up to it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, on behalf of City Council Lodge, Michael Flaherty, echoing the sentiments of Councilor Flynn's office, and due to the communal process that went into drafting Article 68, the council would like to go on record in opposition.
Good morning, Chairman of the board, members of the board. Karen Foley, Councilor Sabi George's office, would like to go on record in opposition to this project. Thank you.
Hi, I'm here on behalf of some of the abutters. I can tell you at the first meeting.
Name and address, please.
Adam Romick, 85A Dresser Street. I can tell you that on behalf of the abutters that were at the first meeting, none of us agreed with any of this. This is not consistent with the rest of the street. You proposed one building that you allowed be built out to the property line. Do any of you know how big Dresser Street is? It's 13 feet across. You know how big a fire truck is? It's 10 feet across. Literally, they have to get out the same side of the truck to fight a fire if there's one on this street. You can't keep building to the property line. There is not enough room. It is not safe. What's the point of the setbacks? There's people walking down the middle of the street because there's no sidewalks. So none of us are in support of this. You're building 10 feet above the rest of us on this street. There was a reason you did a zoning plan. So people would have some kind of idea of what's coming in there. What's the point of spending the money to have someone develop the zoning plan if you guys never follow it? So none of us can support this.
What's your address, sir?
85A Dresser Street, 3 doors down.
Okay, any response?
Well, we had two abutters meetings that were properly flagged by our office. The first abutters meeting, two folks attended. One young woman who lived across the street had some concerns about the FAR at 2.7 in the height. The other neighbor had no opposition to the project and was concerned about a project next door. The second abutter meeting, which was properly advertised and flagged by our office. Unfortunately, no one appeared at that meeting. Worked with the mayor's office. This has been a community process been going on for about 5 months now. I believe we filed back in the fall. People had my information. I haven't received any calls. The sidewalk is going to be a 5-foot sidewalk in the front. That was mentioned at one of the community meetings, and we're going to be consistent with Dresser Street that it's along the property is built up on the sidewalk, that there'll be a 5-foot sidewalk.
Can I have a motion, please?
I'm going to make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design review.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, motion carries.
Calling the next case. Calling the next case, calling BOA 926-367, 94 Beacon Street. This is to enlarge the existing roof deck, install a new exterior stair to deck, construct a screening wall at the new deck, raise the roof level at the rear to install new windows and skylight. Violations Article 13, Section 1, the building height is excessive in feet. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Bruce Bransing. I'm returning to business address 350 West Broadway in South Boston. I'm joined to my right by Tim Berg of Paul Lucas, the project architects, and Greg Hogan, the owner of this unit. This is a condominium unit number 5 in the 94 Beacon Street condominium. This is 5 owner-occupied condominiums. My client is proceeding with the authorization and approval of the other 4 unit owners. Chairman, members, this is the top floor unit in the building. The building rises to a maximum height of 74 feet. This is an H265 zoning district with maximum building height of 65 feet. It is essentially a building with a lower roof and an upper roof. And the work here that is violative of the zoning code in terms of the cited violation for excessive roof height is on the lower portion of the roof. The renovations to the unit, which is 1,925 square feet, it's a 2-bedroom unit, are essentially to bring additional natural light into the unit. Of those 2 bedrooms, excuse me, one is on the mezzanine level. Within the unit, it gets very little natural light. Most of that coming from directly above. There's a fairly small monitor, essentially a skylight, located above the mezzanine bedroom level of the unit. The proposal here is to raise the height of the roof to a level that is approximately the maximum height of the peak of that existing monitor to create more volume. Certainly the entirety of that portion of the roof would go up, but again, essentially no higher than the maximum height of the existing monitor. That is the work that is puncturing that 65-foot maximum height limit, even though it is in fact lower than the highest portion of the building's roof in the front. Also part of the scope of work is a new stairway to the deck. This unit has exclusive roof rights, so there would be a new stairway to the deck from the lower roof So from the lower roof up to the upper roof where there's a deck, and then new access to the lower roof from a new interior stair. There's currently a fairly dangerous means of egressing the unit and going up to the roof level. This would be replaced by a sliding door penthouse. It's sometimes referred to as a hatch, but it actually provides building code compliant access because of its head height, the fact that there are stairs up, and it's a sliding door rather than a hatch that opens directly up. And as I said, raising the portion of the rear wall of the building approximately 48 inches to allow for new fenestration for the mezzanine level bedroom. This is subject, of course, being located at 94 Beacon Street to the Beacon Hill. It is part of the Beacon Hill Historic District and is subject to review by the Beacon Hill Architectural Commission. The architects appeared in the fall of 2018 for 2 hearings before Beacon Hill Architectural and did receive approval for modification to the roof deck where that is visible from the public way for new glazed roof area and the existing shed dormer, and exemption from Beacon Hill Architectural Commission requirements for the work in the rear, which is invisible from the public way. And the work in the rear, talking about the raising of the roof over the mezzanine level and the new fenestration for that bedroom. So as I say, the single violation here is for excessive height above 65 feet, which is above 65 feet. It is, however, lower than the maximum height of the upper level of the roof of the building. And it's in the rear, and it's fairly visible from a public way.
Okay. How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Anyone here to testify on behalf of the project?
Members of the board, just Augur with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record and support. We did host an abutters meeting. The residents came out, but the applicant was willing to work with them and make changes necessary to make the project appeasing. So at this point, we have no questions or concerns. Thank you.
Anyone here to speak in opposition?
I make a motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you do that, Mr. Secretary, I should realize that on the last vote on Dresser Street, since there's a shorthanded one vote, the chair should be recorded in favor of that in order to get the number 5.
Okay.
Because Mr. Bickerstaff is in opposition.
Correct. Calling BOA 897-717, 84 to 100 Peterborough Street. This is to separate 84 and 86 Peterborough with a demising wall, build at a new sub-shop in the 84 Peterborough. A violation of Article 66, Section 8. Takeout restaurant is conditional. Article 66, Section 8. Restaurant use is conditional. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Brennan McCord at 84 Peterborough Street in Boston. So we've actually done all the work and have been open since June of 2017, so nearly 2 years. Essentially, there was one restaurant that got separated into 2. We were the first to sign a lease in February of 2017. Received all the approvals, everything necessary from the city to be in good operation. We've been a great member to the neighborhood. 6 months after we opened, in 2017, the other restaurant on the other side opened and received a certificate of occupancy, permanent CO. We keep being issued temporary COs, and I'm really actually not even sure why. We were under the impression that once both tenants were open and operational, we would receive a CO.
So what exactly is it that you're in violation of now?
Nothing. Not that I know of. We're just continuously being issued temporary certificate of occupancy.
You don't want a TCO, you want a full certificate of occupancy. That's what you're here for?
Yes, sir.
Well, I guess I would ask the gentleman from ISC, is there any issue that you're aware of?
No, we would be in support of being able to get him a full CO.
Okay. That's what I'd like to hear. How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall? Drawings are adequate. Is anyone here to speak in favor of the applicant?
Members of the board, just I'll go with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I remember working with the applicant earlier on when he was trying to get everything permitted. The community has been super excited to have him around, so we're just here for a formality. We have no questions or concerns and wish to have him back and operating as soon as possible.
What kind of food do you serve?
Philly cheesesteaks and lobster roll, sir.
Oh, no samples?
We can make that happen, no problem.
We didn't hear that.
You should defer this case.
Anybody here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You're all set. Good luck.
Thank you very much, guys.
Calling BOA 920-465, 19 Dartmouth Street. This is to eliminate a kitchen and install a new bathroom and kitchen at Kitchen Place. Remove no structure, install a new framing, new bedroom, change occupancy from a 3-family to a 2-family. Violation of Article 9, Section 2, non-conforming use change. Name and address for the record, please.
Vincent and Catherine O'Byrne, 19 Dartmouth Street.
I'm sorry, apologize. Welcome. Can you describe your application, please?
Sure. Our application is we have a three-family at present. We want to convert it to a 2-family, so take over the middle apartment and remove a wall that kind of brings the house back to close to what it would have been in the before 1970s redo. We put up a temporary wall at the bottom of the stairs. What that entails is converting a kitchen back to its bathroom and removing a bathroom back to a hallway.
Okay.
And there's no structural change because it's effectively removing a wall.
So you're actually taking it down from a 3 to a 2?
Correct.
Okay. And has it been assessed as a 3 all this time? And
Now, back in the 90s when we moved in, it was, we bought it as a 3. It actually ends up that it was a rooming house. So we had to, there was work done in the 1970s, so we had to go in through the process of getting a variance as is, kind of convert it to a 3-family to have it recognized as such.
But it's functioned as a 3?
Functioned as a 3.
Okay. And in terms of like metering and all that, is it separate?
Yes.
So you're going to change that?
Right.
Okay. All right. How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings are
Is anyone here to speak on behalf of the proponent?
Members of the board, Maria Lanza, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. On behalf of my colleague Faisal Sharif, we would like to go on record in support. We've received many letters of support from their abutters, and we have no further questions or concerns. Thank you.
Madam of the Chair, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support. We also would like to point out that the Ellis Neighborhood Association has no concerns at this point. Thank you.
Is anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You're all set.
Calling BOA 919.
Mr. Secretary, before you do that, for those of you who are watching the agenda, or look at the agenda, you'll notice that in a couple cases from now, there's a mention of a lunch break for 45 minutes. We're not going to take a 45-minute lunch break. We will take a break, but this was basically at the chair's discretion, and we will, whatever the board sees fit to do, we will do. Anyway, just wanted to mention that. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Case BOA 919-027, 162 West Brookline Street. This is to install a 6-foot by 20-foot cantilever deck at the rear of the parlor level, frame and railings to be steel with composite decking. Violations Article 64, Section 9.4, Townhouse Row House Extension. Name and address for the record, please.
John Moran, Alpine Advisory Services, Alpine Way. Board. Seeking a conditional use permit under Article 64, Section 9-4, extensions into the rear yard above the street level require a conditional use. We are seeking a conditional use to install one rear deck at the parlor level. The project involves a gut rehab creating 2 units, a duplex containing 2 bedrooms, 1,400 square feet, and a triplex containing 4 bedrooms, 2,100 square feet. The proposed rear deck would service the triplex.
But you're not here for the interior renovation, only for the deck?
Yes.
And is this fall under Southland's landmark?
Yes, it is.
And have they reviewed this yet?
No, they have not.
Okay. All right. How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings are
Any questions from the board? Is anyone here to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Members of the board, Maria Lanza, Mayor's Office Neighborhood Services. On behalf of my colleague Faisal Sharif, we would like to go on record in support. We held a full community process for these meetings, and there are no concerns or questions at this time. Thank you.
Members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support. We would also like to point out that the Pilot Block Neighborhood Association has no issue with this proposal. Thank you.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion?
I'll make, go ahead.
motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You're all set.
Thank you.
I'm calling BOA 928-027, 258 West Newton Street. This is constructing 4 cantilever Juliet balconies at the existing openings and new roof deck. Violation of Article 41, Section 6, rooftop additions in protected area. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Mark Lacasse, Lacasse Law, 75 Arlington Street, Boston, Mass. Attorney for the applicant, which is Dave Schwartz, the owner of the property, and the developer, who is sitting to my right. This application before you is an amendment to an existing building permit for a project which is already well underway, to include a roof deck on the top floor for the top level unit of the building. It is in the St. Botolph Protection District, and rooftop additions require a conditional use permit for a roof deck, and that is the sole issue before this board. It is also in the St. Botolph Historic Commission District. We've had several reviews of the entire project already with the Historic Commission, and they've already had an opportunity to review and see this roof deck, but we do need to go back to them for final approval once this board has acted on the conditional use permit request before you. The project has proceeded favorably, and we've had community process every step of the way.
And what is the access to the roof deck?
Access to the roof deck is through the top floor unit. It's a hatch.
Okay. And you've also got these Juliet balconies as part
So
of
the Juliet balconies are not an item for zoning relief.
Right.
They have been approved by the Historic Commission at their last hearing last month.
Okay.
And prior to that, the Historic Commission approved enlargement of the window openings at the rear to create the windows so that the Juliet balconies made sense. But those items have all been approved by the Historic Commission and are not part of the zoning relief.
And how large is the roof deck?
200-ish square feet, consistent with they're on aerial view of the immediate neighborhood. There are about 36 other roof decks, so consistent with the character of roof decks in the neighborhood.
Other drawings? Is anyone here to speak on behalf of the proponent?
Members of the board, just Augur with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record in support. We held an abutters meeting where they were able to address all of the concerns that were mentioned. At this point, we have no questions or concerns. Thank you.
Here to speak in opposition. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve. Do we need BPDA, Jeff? No, just motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, we are not going to take a 45-minute lunch break, but we telling you, it's like a well-oiled machine. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Mr. Secretary.
Do you want to just remind them again?
Oh, well, one more time, I will say, for those who weren't here, didn't hear, we are short one board member. We're normally a 7-member board. Takes 5 votes to pass. There's 6 of us. You have the option of deferring until there is a full board if you so choose. So I'm required to say that. If anybody wants to take advantage of that, they can. If not, we will proceed.
All right, Mr. Chair, I'm going to call the 11:30s before we go to the rest of the 10:30s from the rediscussions. Are there any deferrals or withdrawals on the rediscussions? Address, Counselor?
24 Arcadia Park.
For the record, calling BOA 793-903, 24 Arcadia Park. Name and address for the record.
My name is George Moranci. I'm an attorney with the business address of 350 West Broadway in South Boston. Chairman, members, this is at least a third deferral, for which I apologize. This is a somewhat complicated matter. As I related before to the board, this is a site comprised of 2 parcels, one of which has a D&D deed restriction. The proposal is to put a 3-unit addition to an existing 3-unit building. We have gone through a community process and been working with D&D for the better part of a year. I just met with D&D officials in the hallway. ISD is asking us to defer this to no earlier than June 11th. The reason being is that with the changes in the plans over the past several months, there's a new violation that was not advertised initially for insufficient usable open space. ISD is in the process of generating an updated refusal letter, but it will have to be advertised, and we do have to allow sufficient time for the ad to appear. So I would therefore request a final deferral to no earlier than June 11th.
Make a motion for deferral.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Let's hope this is the last one.
I hope so.
You'll have a date of June 25th,
Thank you.
11:30. Are there any other deferrals or withdrawals for 11:30? You're deferring, ma'am? 11:30, this is for deferrals or withdrawals only. I'm not calling cases, this is deferrals or withdrawals. All right, so we're going to go back to the 10:30s. Calling BOA 935-353, 64 to 70 Broad Street. This project is to change the use of auction from the building from a restaurant, office, retail, to retail bank branch office. Violations Article 49A5, which is in the Greenway overlay. The use of regulations. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Tom Miller. I'm with Victor McQuilty and Miller, 28 State Street in Boston. With me are Nick Jacoby of TPG Construction and Rebecca Exley of Courtson Design Architecture. We're here representing Harbor One Bank. They are applying for a conditional use permit at the premises to open their first bank branch in the city. They are long operating, well-respected bank. They are looking to move into the address into a landmark building at that property. In the underlying district, bank branch use is allowed. However, it's in the Greenway Overlay District, which makes this conditional use, which is why we're here before you. Through this process, we have dealt with Boston Landmarks Commission. We're waiting on the final approval from them on essentially paint colors in the design. They've gone through and approved. We have a design with them that they've approved for the exterior of the building. We've been through the required community process, and we have no opposition from the Wharf District Council.
So the refusal letter cites the change from restaurant, office, and retail to office, retail, and bank branch.
Yes.
So are the office and retail staying the same?
Yes, so this is one portion of the
So just the
larger
restaurant
building.
to the bank branch?
Yep, we are taking over the cafe space.
How many square feet roughly?
About 1,500.
Okay. Other drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is there anybody here to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. Maria Lanza, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record in support. There are no questions or concerns with this change at this time, and they have worked with the Wharf District Council. Thank you.
Members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flynn's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support of this proposal. The Wharf District Council has no objection at this point. Thank you.
Is anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 913-511, 213 Albany Street. This is to relocate an existing digital billboard structure northeast corner of the lot. The violations, Article 64, Section 35, 64-35.d. Billboards are forbidden. Name and address for the record, please.
Next case as well. It's a companion case.
Okay, they have that. Okay, thanks, Mark. Case BOA 851-400-217 Albany Street. Sorry about that. This is demolish an existing structure and construct a new 14-story, 250-unit residential building. The new building will be constructed on a lot consisting of 36,070 square feet to be created by subdividing a portion of 300 Harrison Ave and combining with the existing lot of 217 Albany Street. Subdivision lot combination. The violations, Article 32, Section 4, this is in the G-card applicability, and Article 64, Section 16, the height is excessive. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Mark Lacasse, Lacasse Law, 75 Arlington Street, Boston, Mass., attorney for the applicant. With me to my right is Ted Ty, managing partner of National Development, the proponent of 217 Albany Street. John Martin, our architect for 217 Albany Street, and attorney Stephen Miller, who represents the owner of the billboard on the companion application to move the billboard from its current location slightly in a direction closer to the expressway so that we can construct the proposed structure. Starting first with the proposal for 217 Albany Street. The materials before you show on the second page of the handout that this is building number 7 of the ink block complex on the site of the former Boston Herald. Buildings 1, 2, and 3 are residential apartment buildings. Building 2 contains the Whole Foods grocery store with the parking deck. Building number 4 on the corner of Traveler Street is the Sepia condominium. Building number 5 is Sienna condominiums. Building number 6 is the AC Hotel. And finally, this is building number 7 of 7 to complete the ink block complex, 217 Albany Street, which is proposed to be a 180-unit building. The initial application submitted called for 280 units, but that has been since, 250 and now down to 180. That has been since revised pursuant to a notice of project change that we received approval from the BPDA board just this month. The planning context for this building proposal is related to the Harrison-Albany Strategic Plan, which was a 2.5-year planning study conducted by the BPDA, which resulted in numerous amendments to the South End zoning code, specifically designed to spur development in 4 discrete subdistricts in the Harrison-Albany corridor. This particular subdistrict at the north end of the corridor is called the New York Streets subdistrict. And the plan has been an enormous success. As many of you know, the ink block has been substantially built across the street. 345 Harrison Ave has recently been completed. There are a number of other buildings currently under construction in that subdistrict as well. The remaining subdistricts were also part of the strategic plan. The height and FAR diagram for the strategic plan shows that there was a distinct planning effort and contemplation that the area along Albany Street abutting the expressway would be a zone for more height. The height limit was extended to 200 feet for projects that were done under PDAs and a 6.5 FAR. Closer to the South End District, the height was set at 150 feet and an FAR of 6.5 as well. On the left-hand side of that diagram, you'll see that 217 Albany Street falls within the zone closest to the expressway, where substantial height was called for in order to create a buffer zone between the expressway and the more residential portion of not only Ink Block, but the rest of the South End. Next page shows the range of buildings and the height in that immediate vicinity. The Troy apartment building at the corner of Traveler Street and Albany is at 200 feet. 345 Harrison Ave across from the ink block is 150 feet. 321 Harrison Ave, which was approved by this board to be a new office building, is 150 feet. And 370-380 Harrison Ave, a project currently under construction by Related Beal, is at 150 feet. The 217 Albany proposal is 156 feet to the main roof and 170 feet on the upper portion of the roof line. A couple of other diagrams show how the pedestrian experience will change at the corner of Albany Street and Harold Street, which is currently essentially the backside of the Whole Foods grocery store. It's the loading dock. There's a small building that exists on the height on the site, the Transit Insurance Agency building. That comes down in order to construct the new building. The loading dock for Whole Foods remains the same, and this building, on the next slide you'll see, is a long rectangle set along Albany Street with the loading dock area of Whole Foods behind it, and there's an opening on Albany Street that will continue the current flow of the truck traffic into the site behind Whole Foods and exiting the site, and also access to the building as well. A couple elevations just show the context of the proposed building in relation to the existing ink block buildings and the Troy apartment building. Next slide shows an aerial view looking north toward the financial district. The building is shown there, sort of highlighted in white to grab your attention on the edge of the expressway. And again, similar on the next slide, the proposed building at the corner. And a traffic circulation showing Harold Street and Albany Street in relation to the building on the corner. And on the second to the last, or third to the last slide, there's a black V at the corner of Harold and Albany Street. That shows the location of the billboard in relation to where it currently stands. There's a photograph at the rear of the packet that shows the billboard in yellow and red in its current location, and the view from the Sienna condominium building out to the billboard, which you can see is higher than the AC Hotel at that location. The last slide shows the view of the new building in place of the billboard, and the billboard gets pulled around to the front of the building and is no longer visible to the current residents of the Sienna building. That was an important part of the community review process, was eliminating the view of the billboard, and we worked closely with the billboard company and the architects to pull it around the front of the building so that it is not visible to the other residents of Ink Block, but remains useful in terms of being a billboard visible from the highway. Mr. Miller may wish to comment briefly on the zoning history of the billboard itself.
Let me just ask a few questions.
Sure thing.
First, there's a GCOT piece here, right?
There is a GCOT piece. We have submitted our plans to Boston Water and Sewer Commission, but have not yet received final approval. It's my understanding that Boston Groundwater Trust has reviewed the plans, and I'll let them make their recommendation.
Why don't we deal with that first, Christian?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Christian Spinelli, Boston Groundwater Trust, and the plans have confirmed that the plans are before Water and Sewer. We've also reviewed the plans, but we would request a hold for signature at this time until we get the approval letter.
Okay. Well, why don't we move forward on that? Can I have a motion on that?
Motion to approve.
Withholding signature.
Withholding signature, sorry. Motion to approve withholding signature for the plans.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Now, to the meat of it, so before Mr. Miller speaks on the zoning history of the billboard, let me ask some questions about the billboard. Is this the rendering that shows the location of the new billboard? So it's
Yes.
become sort of vertically oriented rather than horizontally oriented. Is it the same size?
It's the same size, correct. But
Exactly.
just
Vertical versus
vertical
horizontal?
versus horizontal.
Okay. Okay, so we are not looking to, you're not looking to approve an expansion of an existing billboard, you're just looking at a relocation?
Correct.
Okay.
move it and reposition it so that
And
it's not...
It's in, if you're looking on the site plan in these slides, on the first slide after the cover, it's now in the corner of the parcel closest to the highway.
Corner of Harold and Albany, closest to the highway, yes.
Yes,
Okay, so right near where 217 Albany Street proposed is.
correct.
Yeah, okay. All right. Mr. Miller,
Just a brief background. In 2016, this board approved, there were 2 existing billboards in this whole area owned by this company. And after a significant community process, we obtained approval from this board to remove one of the billboards and convert the other billboard to digital. And now, to not stand in the way of this project, we're seeking approval to be able to move this billboard to that corner, which would actually be a better site, not only for the billboard, but for the people in the area, because it doesn't block anybody's views. And the way we've scheduled the two faces, it would come out so it wouldn't even be visible from the building as far as the digital part of it from the new building.
Okay. Let's get a new designer who can think vertically instead of horizontally.
Exactly.
And Mr. Chairman, this project has also already gone through Article 80 large project review. We received BPDA board approval on July 12, 2018. I'd just like to submit the board approved memo for the record.
So we have 2
Also-
different files, one's for the violation for the billboard and the other side.
Yeah, we should act
So
on
we
it
have to act separately.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Kindell, how are the drawings?
Drawings adequate.
Okay.
Also, Mr. Chairman, a couple of letters of support, one from Randy Lathrop, a former BRA official who was in charge of the Harrison-Albany Corridor Strategic Plan Study, and one from the owner of Bar Mezzana, which is one of the commercial establishments at Inkblot.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak in favor of the project?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Faisal Sharif with Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record in support of this proposal, just confirming that it did already go through significant community process under the BPDA Article 80 process, but we also held several abutters meetings related to the billboard because it is very sensitive in nature to the community, and everybody is behind the relocation because it actually solves some current issues of, some of the light pollution and just shining in the new residences' windows. So this is actually a win-win for the neighborhood, and we are in support of the height as well. Thank you.
Chairman, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support of this proposal. We would like to point out that the East Berkeley Neighborhood Association is not in opposition to this project, but they do have concerns on the parking and the traffic that it will bring into the neighborhood. So they do ask the development team, but we have reached out to the development team and they have indicated that they will be working closely with the neighborhood on this quality of life issues. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Michael Ferris, representing the Carpenters Union. On behalf of hundreds of union carpenters that will work across the city of Boston, I want to vote records for.
Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Before we entertain motions, just a couple of questions. There are... Oh, you're speaking in opposition.
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Patrick Dolan. I'm an attorney with Cornell Dolan, 1 International Place here in Boston. Suite 1400, by the way. I represent Robert and Mary Vincent, who own Unit 610 at the Sienna condominium, and I have presented to the board an affidavit of Mr. and Mrs. Vincent, along with 6 other statements and affidavits from unit owners at the Sienna condominium, all of whom object to the project on the basis that it's excessive, on the basis of its excessive height, almost 70% more than the currently allowed height of 100 feet, as well as on the basis of inappropriate increased density, traffic conditions, and traffic problems. And if I could just direct your attention to the last few pages, which are some photographs showing the traffic conditions. near the Whole Foods in connection with the delivery area for the Whole Foods. You'll see it's a very congested area, and what the proposal is to add approximately 300 bedrooms in the new building with no new parking whatsoever, under the assumption that the unit owners are not going to own cars. And I think it's an interesting assumption, but I don't think there's any facts that would support it. There's been no showing by National Development that it satisfies the legal standard to get the variance it has requested. No suggestion that there's something peculiar about the lot. No suggestion that without this variance, there's no reasonable use for the lot. And with respect to the movement of the sign, I think the zoning code is quite clear. It simply says it's forbidden. And that's a word that doesn't allow for any interpretation. So I would respectfully request that the board deny the request. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? So the proposed structure is 250 units?
180 units.
180 units.
Yeah, it's been reduced, and that was pursuant to our notice of project change, which was approved by the BPDA board on April 9th.
Okay. And how are those, can you give us a breakdown how those 180 units are divided between 1, 2,
Which one of these changed?
and these are all rental, right?
It's a rental building, yes. And the reduction in unit count was achieved by merging some of the studios to create larger units.
Counselor, you were only cited for the height?
Height is the sole violation.
You weren't cited for parking?
No, because this was large project review, so
Correct.
parking is determined pursuant to the Article 80 process.
Correct. Okay.
The unit breakdown, Mr. Chairman, is as follows. 84 studios, 6 one-bedrooms, 30 two-bedrooms, 37 three-bedrooms, and 23 four-bedrooms.
Okay, and is the issue of affordability addressed?
Yes, we have all on site, and we have an agreement with the BPDA as part of our Article 80 process that affordable housing will be on site, and it's consistent with the inclusionary development policy requirements.
Meaning 30%?
Yes.
Okay, and is that across the various unit sizes?
Across the various unit sizes, yes, it was a tricky process, but that has been achieved, and BPDA has approved the inclusionary development component.
And there is no parking?
There is no parking. However, National Development manages and controls the parking lots under the expressway, which is known as underground, adjacent to a new park that has been created there, and there are 175 parking spaces under the expressway right across the street with direct access from this property.
But not limited for use for this building?
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Did I ask you how the drawing works? Okay. There. Okay. Questions from the board?
Council, do you, are you restricting any of the ownership to not be allowed to get City of Boston parking permits?
That was not a request that came up during any part of the community review process.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to ask for 2 separate motions, one having to do with the building, the 180-unit building, and the other having to do with the digital billboard relocation. So can I have a motion on the building?
Make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design review.
Second.
We need it, Jeff? We need it, right?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Can I have a motion on the billboard relocation?
Make a motion to approve the relocation of the billboard as it stands.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes as well.
Thank you so much.
Calling the next 2 cases, calling BOA 903-635, 235 Layden Street. BOA, companion case BOA 903-636, 237 Layden Street. This is for 235. This is to subdivide an existing lot to create 2 separate lots. 235 to have 3,275 square feet, 237 to have 1,772 square feet, erect a 2-family dwelling with parking. The violations, Article 53, Section 9, Lot 2, insufficient lot size for subdivision is 2,000 square feet required. Article 53, Section 9, the Lot 1, insufficient lot size. Article 53, Section 9, Lot 2, insufficient lot width. Article 53, Section 9, the Lot 1 is insufficient side yard setback, 7 feet is required. This is for 237 Layton. This is subdivide the existing lot to create two lots, 235, 3,275 square feet, and 237 to have 1,772 square feet, and erect a two-family dwelling, residential dwelling with parking. The violations, Article 53, Section 9, insufficient lot size for a two-family, 4,000 square feet is required. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient lot width for a two-family, 40 feet is required. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient lot frontage, 40 feet is required. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient side yard setback, 7 feet is required. Article 53, Section 9, excessive FAR, .8 is the max. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient open space, 750 square foot a unit is required. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient rear yard setback, 21.65 is required. And Article 53, Section 9, the number of allowed stories has been exceeded. Two and a half stories is the max. Name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Attorney Laureen Scatino, 245 Sumner Street, Suite 110 in East Boston. With me is the owner of the property, Dana Antonucci, and Sharon Gentris from Joy Street Design, who is the architect on the project. So as mentioned, these are companion cases. We're seeking to subdivide the existing lot to create two new lots. The one consisting of 1,772 square feet, the other consisting of 3,275 square feet, and we would be constructing a two-unit residential dwelling intended for home ownership with parking for two vehicles. We seek a variance for lot width. We're at 32.5. For side yard, we're at 3. For rear yard, we're at 1.5, and for height, we are seeking the variance for stories only. In this area, it's 2.5 stories, and we're at 3, but we are below the height limit of 35 feet, and we're at 33.8. And we're seeking a variance for FAR, which is, we're at 1.38, and open space.
Okay. Looking at the rendering, so the parking for the proposed, how many cars parked in the proposed?
2.
And this is, you've got essentially the garage and garage doors facing the street
Correct.
with two curb cuts or one long curb cut?
Probably one longer curb cut.
Is there any way to design this, not that I want to get into the weeds, but so there's only one garage door and 2 spaces in there, or is it not workable?
It would have to be a very large garage door, so I don't
It looks kind of suburban,
That's
yeah, you know what I mean. How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings are
Any questions from the board?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I am Lina Tramelli from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I would like to go on record in support. Our office hosted an abutters meeting on May 21st, where the abutters expressed strong support about this proposal, and as well the Orient Heights Neighborhood Association voted in support. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The councilor would also like to go on record in support.
Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Oh, losing my mind. Okay. Can I have a motion, please?
I'm going to make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design review.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All opposed, the motion passes.
Thank you.
You can do anything about the garage doors. That's the chair's pet peeve. She's not here, so I'm channeling her.
Before I go to the next here, I'm just going to call the hearing and reconsideration for 12. Is the counselor here for that? Yeah, hold on, sir. We got to wait for the counselor.
That's the project,
Yeah, but he's speaking on behalf. It's being deferred, so. Yeah, we'll come back to it. Oh, here we are.
There it is.
Counselor, I'm just calling hearings a reconsideration. Calcon case BOA 889-104, 306 K Street. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Mark Lacasse, Lacasse Law, 75 Arlington Street, Boston, Mass. Here representing the owners of 306 K Street in South Boston on a motion for reconsideration of a board's prior decision. However, today we are requesting a deferral as there's one further issue which needs to be resolved with ISD, and I actually am going to ISD to meet with their council at 1 p.m. today, so I would request a deferral to the next available date.
I'm going to make a motion for deferral.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
You'll have a date of 5/21 at 11:30. I'm
you,
sorry,
sir.
at 12.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to get back to the 10:30s, calling the next couple of cases, calling BOA 919-610, 120 Gov Street. Is there a companion, or Frankfurt as well? Yes. Okay. Calling BOA 919-609, 25 to 37 Frankfurt Street. This is for 120 Gov. This is a combined parcels, form a new lot with 16,735 square feet. A change of occupancy from a church to 14 residential units, renovate the entire building and create dwelling units. But the violation, Article 27T, Section 9, this is in the East Boston iPod. Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 53, Section 56, off-street loading is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 53, Section 9, the usable open space is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the front yard is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the rear yard is insufficient. This is for 25 to 37 Frankfurt. This is the combined parcels to form a new 32,390 square foot lot, erect a new 6-story residential building with 98 dwelling units. There will be 71 parking under garage. The violation is Article 27T, Section 9. This is in the East Boston iPod. Article 53, Section 57. This is conformity with an existing building alignment. Article 53, Section 9. The lot area for additional dwelling units is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 53, Section 9, the building height is excessive. Article 53, Section 9, the building height, number of stories is excessive. Article 53, Section 9, the usable open space is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the side yard is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the rear yard is insufficient. Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking is insufficient. And Article 53, Section 56, off-street loading is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Attorney Jeff Drago with Drago and Toscano with an address of 15 Broad Street. With me, I have Lou Cabral, Tim White, who are the developers on this project, and Jason Forney from Bruner Cott, who's the architects on the project that you see before you. The project before you, known as the Frankfurt Gove Street development in East Boston. This is formerly part of the Archdiocese property, the Mount Carmel Church Rectory space, which includes 4 lots that we're looking to combine into 2 new lots to raise the convent and rectory buildings, renovate the church building, keeping that building, and this will include 108 condominium units, 14 of which are going to be affordable IDP on site, with 84 associated parking spaces. Those parking spaces will involve 71 below-grade underground parking, as well as 13 spaces that would be above ground. This particular development we've been working on for over 2 years with the community. We're very sensitive because the community fought long and hard to keep this church alive and open. One of the first commitments we made was to retain the church building that you see on the front of the packet that I provided. That will now become a 14-unit interior development, but everything on the building will remain intact. The second commitment we had made was to make this project all condominium, which is something that the community wanted, and then finally to remove the 6th story on a portion of the Frankfurt building itself. So this project now in different places would be from a 4 to a 6-story building. The total lot size is 49,140 square feet, and we do fall within an MFR, multifamily residential area. And we also have 131 bike spaces on site as well, 108 of which are interior. As I had mentioned, the highest point is 55 feet. We also have sections that are 46. The gross square footage is 114,565 square feet, which put this in the Article 80 Large Project Review, which was approved by the board back in March of this year. We have sort of a mix of unit sizes and count. We have 79 one-bedroom units.
Are you counting both buildings together?
Yes, and 29 two-bedroom units. We also wanted to make great detail of the amount of open space that we provided on this project. So we actually have a reflection garden that's going to be part of community give-back space for folks to use. We also have the above-ground parking area is lined with landscape and trees, which you can see if you take a look in the actual packet that I had given you. We worked diligently with the community to get to this point. And I think we're really proud of this project, and we can now pause to entertain any questions that the board may have.
Okay, very good. So could you do one more time on the total units, the unit breakdown, and parking spaces?
Okay, so it's 108 total units. It's 14 IDP inclusionary units. 7 are at 80%, 7 are at 100%. We have 84 parking spaces, 71 below grade, 13 above grade. Our units are 79 one-bedroom units and 29 two-bedroom units for the whole project.
And these are all rentals?
No, all condominium.
Oh, all condos?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any questions from the board? How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings adequate.
The maintenance of the church is a nice touch. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the project?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Lina Tramelli, with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I would like to go on record of support. The developer addressed several of the concerns that were expressed during the community process. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Raul DeVerci. I'm project manager with the Boston Planning and Development Agency. With respect to this proposal, the BPDA conducted an extensive Article 80B large project review process, which resulted in a number of revisions and changes to the project to address community concerns. More specifically, this project underwent a 5-month review process during which we had 5 community meetings to review the proposal, its impacts, and discuss appropriate mitigation. In addition to the formal review process, the development team also conducted extensive community outreach efforts and participated in a series of meetings before and during our review process with the butters, elected officials, and the local civic association to solicit feedback and refine the proposal. On March 14, 2019, the BPDA Board of Directors voted to approve the project. As such, we would like to go on record in support of the proposal. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Manuel Perez, representing the Carpenters Union. On behalf of hundreds of union carpenters that live and work throughout the city of Boston, we want to go on record support.
Good morning. My name is Jack Scalzione. I'm the chairperson of the Gulf Street Citizens Association. This is the association that monitors projects in the area of which Mount Carmel, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, is located. I also happen to be a direct abutter across the street from Frankfurt Street. We have worked for several years with the developers, even before they made the formal presentations to the city. The design is very unique. They've worked very hard for us to make changes. They're very compatible with us, and we appreciate what they've done over the years. We appreciate the design. We appreciate that they saved the building, which was an early 19th century, 20th century Italian heritage building, and they've kept it complete. And so we appreciate that too. So we're in accordance with the design as it is now. Thank you.
Is anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design review, and also, it looks as though you guys have worked hard, so congratulations on that, but continue that moving forward, because I do know that this was an instrumental part of that neighborhood. I know people fought hard, and I appreciate the hard work you've done. So just continued work, and that you work with the BPDA.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes.
197 next one? Just two? No.
Oh, it's, there's two in a row.
Yes, okay. Just want to make sure.
Yep.
Calling the next two cases, calling BOA 881-803-131 Condor Street. There's also a companion case, BOA 881-804-141 to 151 Condor Street. This is for 131. This is to combine parcels and subdivide newly created into two separate lots, 131 Condor to have 3,937 square feet, also to erect a four-story residential building with 7 units. The violations, Article 53, Section 8, a multifamily dwelling is forbidden use. Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking loading requirement. Article 53, Section 9, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 53, Section 9, the building height is excessive in stories. Article 53, Section 9, the building height is excessive in feet. Article 53, Section 9, the front yard is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, side yard is insufficient. This is for 141 to 151 Condor, the combined parcels, and subdivide a newly created lot into two separate lots, 141 to 151 Condor, to have 22,313 square feet, also to erect a 5-story mixed-use building containing ground floor, work bar, gallery, shared studios, and workshop, 17 artist studios, 33 residential units, and 35 parking spaces. The violations, Article 53, Section 8, a work bar gallery is forbidden use. Article 53, Section 8, artist studio is forbidden use. Article 53, Section 8, a multifamily dwelling is forbidden use. Article 53, Section 8, a workshop is a forbidden use. Article 53, Section 8, the community studio is a forbidden use. Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 53, Section 9, the building height is excessive in stories. Article 53, Section 9, the building height is excessive in feet. Article 53, Section 9, the front yard is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the side yard is insufficient. And Article 53, Section 9, the rear yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jeff Drago with Drago and Toscano with an address of 15 Broad Street. With me, I have Phil Giffey and Josh Caston from the Neighborhood of Affordable Housing, as well as Sharon Gentris from the Joy Street Design Group, who's the architect on the project. As was mentioned, the address is before you. Is a development being proposed by the Neighborhood of Affordable Housing. It's 40 units of housing with 17 private artist studios, shared community space for artists, and gallery and work bar along with community space, with 35 associated parking spaces. This project was part of city-owned land by D&D and sort of a desolate corridor on Condor Street. The Neighborhood of Affordable Housing was appeared before this board before, has developed a number of projects in East Boston for affordable housing, applied and won that RFP process, which is very particular about the kind of housing that they wanted to see here. So the development before you is mixed use, mixed income project with both rental unit component, home ownership units, artist space, and community space. The total lots are 3 parcels for a total combined 26,250 square feet. The height ranges, because it is 2 buildings that are separate, from 44 feet to 51 feet. Gross square footage of the project is 49,750 square feet. We were approved as part of the Article 80 small project review process back in March of 2019. We have worked diligently with the community, and I have a letter of support from the Eagle Hill Civic Association as well. Just to go over some of the breakdown of this project. So, as was mentioned, it's 40 units with 35 parking spaces in the main building, total unit count. In the first building, at 141-151 Condor Street, there would be 33 rental units, 9 of which are proposed market rate, 24 which would be affordable housing. In the condo building, there will also be condos in the building, 7 condos, 3 market, and 4 affordable. They would also have an artist preference for space in this building, which was part of the RFP. The unit breakdown would be 3 studios, 8 one-bedroom, 25 2-bed, and 4 3-bedroom units. The second building at 131 Condo Street would be the 7 total condo units, 4 of which would be 2-bed and 3 would be 3 beds. Those would have 4 market rate and 3 affordable units on that building as well. And so, as part of our amenity and design feature, we also include studio space opportunities for artists to rent in this building. We have gallery space, community space that can be used for neighborhood meetings or community issues. And then we have covered parking to shield from the street view, 35 spaces in the back, which Sharon can answer any design questions or layout questions that the board may have at this time.
So, a few questions about the artist character of the project. The studios for rent, are those for folks within the project or to the general artistic public?
My name is Phil Giffey. I'm the executive director of NOAA, and Josh is with NOAA as well. So we would market it with the city the same way we would market publicly any other unit for development.
And how do you maintain artist preference? Are there deed restrictions?
That's a question I would ask our friends at the BRA to help us on. We would certainly be consulting with them as they've reviewed it, and East Boston CDC is our property manager, so we're not going to flip it from artist to regular. I think they'd be maintained over time. That's the goal. That's what we would tend to keep. We know the neighborhood wanted that. I remember being at the first meeting when they expressed that preference for artists to live in workspace, and so that's what we've developed.
I will ask our friends at the DRA.
Yeah, we have typically in the past in other projects in other sections of the city, we've had it deed restricted. We have artists certified by the Planning and Development Agency, so that will be kept in check.
So if it's one of these associated with a particular unit, is that how it works?
Yes.
And is it into perpetuity?
That's a great question. I don't have the answer to that one.
It was also, Mr. Chairman, part of the RFP process too. It wasn't too specific on which units, and I think that's what we're going to work out. We know what we want to do for that, but we're working with the BPD.
It may not be the unit as much, and I'm glad our friends didn't know, because I didn't know, but I know that we would work with them, and they've got criteria by which to do it. But there's a growing artist community. There always has been in the neighborhood. I've been there for a long time, and certainly you'd want people to come and sign up and do the marketing. So we would continue to encourage people to sign up. Worst case, you've got to rent it. But overall, you'd want artists to be living and working in the community, and the community would have access to the work bar and gallery spaces at the same time. So,
and that's true of both the condos and the rentals.
well, the condos are separate buildings, but they would have access to the work bar and gallery space in the rental side as well.
Any questions? How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the proponent?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, member of the board, Lina Tramelli from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I would like to go on the record in support. We have 75 of the units proposed are affordable, and we had a strong support during the community process. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The councilor would also like to go on record in support.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Raul DeVert, Senior Project Manager with the Boston Planning and Development Agency. This proposal underwent Article 80E small project review. It was very well received in the community. The development team worked collaboratively with our staff to enhance accessibility and work on the design. Overall, we're very pleased with the project. Includes about 73% of the units in the building are income restricted. And this was approved by our board in March of this year, so we'd like to be in record of support. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Michael Perez from the Department of Proceeding would like to go on record in support of this project.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Ryan Lettergan, Department of Neighborhood Development, Housing Development Officer. This project is located on D&D land and has received CPA funding. We'll be with them throughout the entire process of the project. I'm just here to voice support for the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design review.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks for your hard work.
Calling BOA 918-232, 197 Condor Street. This is seeking to raise the existing structure and erect a 4-story building with 6 residential units and 6 parking spaces. Violation, Article 53, Section 8, a multifamily dwelling unit is a forbidden use. Article 53, Section 9, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 53, Section 9, the height is excessive in stories. Article 53, Section 9, the height is excessive in feet. Article 53, Section 9, the front yard setback requirement is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the side yard setback requirement is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the rear yard setback requirement is insufficient. And Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking requirement is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Attorney Jeff Drago with Drago and Toscano, with an address of 15 Broad Street. With me, I have Scott Nair, the architect from Chu, and Gene Bernstein and Iliad, the owners and developers of 197-199 Condor Street. As was mentioned, I have some packets for you in a minute. As was mentioned, this project, we're seeking to erect a 4-story building on an empty lot with 6 residential condo units and 6 parking spaces. This is also located on Condor Street that's traditionally had more commercial and industrial style that's now just finally getting invigorated with some housing on it. We worked closely with the Eagle Hill Civic Association to come up with the design that you see today with more of a historic look with the mansard roof and the shutters. This particular lot size is 3,193 square feet. The building square footage is 6,174 square feet, and the proposed height 39 feet 8 inches. Just to go over the layout and floor plan, on the first floor there'd be covered parking with 6 spaces, our main entrance and lobby, sprinkler room, and second means of egress. Second floor would have Unit 1 and Unit 2, both 1,045 feet and 1,012 square feet respectively. 1,012 2-bed, 1-bath, the other a 2-bed, 2-bath with rear balcony. The third and fourth floors would be identical. Third and fifth unit would be 1,046 square feet, 2-bed, 2-bath. And the fourth and sixth unit would be 1,012 square foot, 2-bed, 2-bath with rear balcony. Just to go over some of the violations that were mentioned. The use, although it says 2-family, there are 3 in commercial up and down this corridor, so we're proposing 6. The FAR allowed is 0.8, we're at 1.93. Height is 2.5 stories at 35 feet, or 4 stories, 39 feet, 8 inches. Open space, 350 per dwelling unit, we're at 109. Front yard is 5, we're at 2 feet 1 inch. Side yard is 5, we're at 1 foot 1 inch. Rear yard, 24 feet, we're at 7 feet 2 inches. Our rear abutters are set pretty far back and elevated on Falcon Street. And parking would be required 9, but we do have a 1-for-1, 6 parking spaces, heated with the units. And as I had mentioned, we've got full support from our abutters and the Eagle Hill Civic Association. I can pause for that.
Just one question. It looks to me like both the left and the right elevations, there are no windows at all. Is that correct?
That is not correct. There are windows on the side elevation.
Oh, not, in the rendering it doesn't show any.
If you look at the A2.2 sheet, you can
I'm
see...
looking at the I'm not looking at drawings, I'm looking at the rendering. And you don't, and in the, you only show the front and rear elevations, I don't see the side ones. And the 8.21 is front and rear.
Sure. I can bring this up for you.
Okay, but there are windows, you're telling me?
Yes.
I mean, because that's a code issue.
This is aside from what Jeff has supplied himself.
Okay, can I see?
Sure.
It's showing, oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Any reason they weren't in the rendering?
Just discrepancy.
That's what computers are for. Okay. Go down, we'll be much happier with the windows, I'm sure. Okay. How are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the application?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Lina Tramelli with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I would like to go on the record in support. There were no concerns during the community process, and also Eagle Hill Neighborhood Association voted on favor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The council would also like to go on record in support.
Is anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve BPDA review.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Calling BOA 903.
Put windows in your next rendering, okay?
BOA 903-541, 307 Maverick Street. This is a permit for 3 parking spaces. The violation's Article 10, Section 1. The proposed off-street parking is within 5 feet of the side lot line. Article 53, Section 56.5, the parking maneuverability. And Article 53, Section 9, usable open space is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Claudia Valorio. It's 307 Maverick Street, East Boston. So the original plan was to do 3 parking spaces, but I did attend the meetings and talk to the neighbors, and we stick with 2 parking spaces.
There are 6 spaces now?
No, we don't have a parking lot in the 307 Maverick. We're trying to do parking spaces.
This is in the back of the house, correct?
Yeah,
It's a fenced-in area?
Yeah. So the original plan was to do 3 parking spaces, but we talked in the meeting and we agreed on 2.
You don't, there's no curb cut either.
No, it's just doing a brand new one.
How many are shown in the drawing?
Instead of Bob would say Mark.
I'm trying to figure out on the drawing that we have, which is dated November 5th, 2018, how many spaces are there?
Mark.
Huh? Bob, have you seen this?
Yes, I have.
Can you,
Yeah.
what's your opinion?
Bob D'Amico, Boston Transportation Department. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, it is in my opinion and in the opinion of the BTD that the parking spaces be reduced to 2 and the curb cut be reduced from 24 to a maximum of 12 feet. That's the maximum for residential use. So it's 2 spaces and a 12-foot curb cut maximum.
Okay, so right now, there's
You
no-
can't fit 3 cars in there.
Okay. What's the net gain here? Are we, by having a curb cut, are we
Well-
losing a space?
Well, you'll lose the space on the street,
That's what I
but
mean.
you'll get
So
2 off.
Net gain of 1.
Net gain of 1. And it's very dense in that
I
area.
think that's, and you would support that?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's not something that I'm adamant about, but
Is this
it's,
front yard parking? I can't. Backyard.
No.
It's
Backyard parking.
So that's not, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's your understanding of what's being proposed, which is 2
Yeah.
spaces with a 12-foot curb cut.
Yeah, we agreed on the 2 spaces.
Okay, and it's unclear to me if the drawings that we have reflect that.
So we've had an issue with drawings. I have new ones from this year. I don't
Do
know-
we have them, or you have them with you
I
now?
don't know if they got, but these are the new ones.
What's the date on them, ma'am?
We, March 12th this year.
I'm sorry.
March 12th this year.
Can you give that to Antonella, please? We have to go by the drawings that reflect what's actually being proposed. Okay, so 2 spaces. Okay, and the curb cut is 12 feet, okay. This drawing reflects what you're saying.
oh, okay, I didn't see them, but that's what we, no, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, is there anyone here to testify on behalf of the bond?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Lina Tramelli with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I would like to go on the record in support. We had not concern from direct abutters and not from the Jeffries Point Neighborhood Association. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The council would also like to go on record in support.
Okay, is there anyone here to testify in opposition? We only need one of these to stamp. You can return the rest. Okay, can I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. With it being clear that this is 2 spaces with a 12-foot curb cut. Correct.
Yeah. Why don't I amend my motion, not my emotion. My motion to say, I make a motion for a 12-foot curb cut to entail 2 cars only.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Yeah.
Motion passes.
Calling the last case for 10:30, calling BOA 936-053, 331 Sumner Street. This is to increase occupancy from 18 to 49. The violation is Article 9, Section 1, extension of restaurant use 25% in volume. Name and address for the record, please.
Paul Gibbs, P.O. Box 374, Sandwich, Mass. Josh Weinstein, 9 White Street, East Boston.
Want to tell us what your proposal is?
So this restaurant is actually open now, and they want to increase the occupancy from 18 to 49.
What kind of restaurant is it?
It's a full-service restaurant, but it's basically a neighborhood bar.
Okay, what's it called?
Quiet View.
Quiet View. Okay. So I mean, it's a no-noise bar, restaurant again?
Yeah, that's low bar.
Low bar. That's better than I like. Okay, so the proposal is to increase occupancy from 18 to 49. Does that involve an expansion of the, where are you getting the space from?
The space, he just basically redeveloped the space inside. So so initially it was a restaurant with takeout food. So it was set up like that. He set it up like a bar and put the kitchen in the back and basically set it up so you could have 49 seats.
Okay, is it still going to be takeout?
No.
Okay. All right, how are the drawings, Mr. Condell?
Drawings adequate.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the proponent?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Lina Tramelli with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I would like to go on the record in support. We have a strong support during the community process. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The councilor would like to go on record in strong support of this proposal.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve. Motion to approve.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, now we're going to go right into the rediscussions for 11:30, calling BOA 920-781, 47 Cummins Highway. This is to renovate.
Is everybody hanging another break? Everybody okay?
This is to renovate a basement to expend, I'm going to do after this one. Extend living area to the unit 1 in the basement. The violation is Article 67, Section 9. The floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Name and address for the record, please.
Please state your name and address. Okay, and what is it that you're proposing? Okay, do we have a drawing? Is this a single family? Two family, do you live it?
That's why it was deferred to, this came from the subcommittee, we deferred it to.
Oh, because it wasn't owner occupied, correct. Okay. So is there an internal, so there's an internal staircase from the first floor to the basement? Okay, and what is the ceiling height, floor to ceiling?
I don't know.
No. Okay, 7'6", that's okay, that works. And is there separate access to the utility room, mechanical room from? Yes. Okay. Let's show them, Chris. Okay. How are the drawings, Mr. Condell?
Drawings adequate.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the proponent?
Good afternoon. Joe Coppinger from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record in support of this project. They've completed the community process and have received no opposition from the community. Thank you.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Walter F. White, Council McCarthy's office. Also like to go on record as support.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You're all set.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 853-295, 31 Dell Avenue. This is to install retaining walls and driveway in the front right of the house. The violation, Article 9, Section 1, extension of an existing non-conforming two-family and a one-family sub-district. And Article 69, Section 29.4, no parking permitted within the front yard. Name and address for the record, please.
Elida Sanchez, 31 Dell Avenue in Hyde Park.
Guy Pratt, architect for the project, 454 Lowell Avenue, Newton, Mass.
Okay, you want to tell us what you're proposing?
Yes, what Ms. Sanchez is trying to do is simply park two cars in her existing two-family lot. Currently, the existing condition is in the front of her house is a two-foot retaining wall, which runs from the total frontage of her house. There's also an existing asphalt sidewalk and not a concrete sidewalk, and there is no granite curb. There isn't a granite curb. There is the curb consists of cobblestone, which is at the same height as the sidewalk. So you can actually, there's no obstruction or these height difference between the sidewalk and the street. What she's trying to do is install a two-car parking space, which is approximately 17 feet wide and also approximately 25 feet deep. That space has to be retained by a retaining wall, which the lowest point of the parking is about 0 feet. The back end of the parking space is approximately about 6 feet high. The parking space, at least the right retaining wall, is going to be 5 foot from the from the side lot. At that point, there is an existing tree that's going to be removed. At the front, the back end of the car, as it parks into the space, is at least 5 feet from the sidewalk. This opportunity presents well, at least the situation presents an opportunity for Ms. Sanchez because the existing retaining walls are in disrepair and probably are going to, they are deteriorating have been for the last few years. So what we're able to do, two things, install 2 parking spaces and also address the problem of getting rid of the damaged retaining wall and installing new retaining walls as well. Currently, she parks approximately where that 17-foot width is, which means she is taking 1 parking space off the street, but she's also adding 2 parking spaces, which is a net gain of one parking space. Now, this situation seems odd, but on that street, Dell is a really interesting street because the situation exists that is similar to what she's trying to do because of the topography of the land, which is from the sidewalk as it enters some of the properties, it slopes up. So there are situations where, at least 4 or 5 situations, where what she's trying to do actually is fairly common on her street. These photographs indicate the condition, at least the existing conditions of her street. So what she's trying to do is really not different than what other folks have done over the past few years. So Dell is a really interesting street. From her property line, from her house to Blue Avenue, no parking is allowed, except there is one house between Blue Avenue, I'm sorry, not Blue Avenue, Hyde Park Avenue, and a house is one house. That house actually parks, have their own driveway parking. So what she's trying to do does not adversely impact what's happening on her street, and more importantly, does not take away parking spaces as well.
Okay, so we run into the age-old problem of front yard parking. Have you looked at this, Mr. D'Amico?
No, I have not. I haven't seen the plans.
Can you show Mr. D'Amico
Council, I have a question. Councilor, so I'm looking at, how are you today? Architect. I have a question. So I'm looking at these pictures, okay, and if I look at this picture, it's very similar to this picture. Are they the same picture?
It could be further down the street, I think. Yeah. If you go further toward our avenue, I think that's what you see.
Oh, you put them together, not me.
Sorry?
I said you put them together, not me,
Yes,
right?
yes, that's
So
what I'm
why don't you come up here and tell me what's going on? Okay. So this picture right here, is that the same exact picture as that?
Yeah, this is the same, yeah.
Okay.
It also
Is there anyone
shows-
else here that's the same picture?
It shows the condition, that's
Okay.
okay.
Is this, are these pictures, or any of these other pictures doubled?
This is not double, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. That's her house. As you move further to the left.
That's the front of her house, yep.
Front of the house, moving down. That house I spoke about, that's the house that sits there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
And this is a situation where
So
she
basically,
parks here.
yeah.
She parks here,
I
and
get
that
it.
cut we're asking for is
Okay,
right here.
thank you.
Mr. D'Amico?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Bob D'Amico, BTD, the plan shows total front yard parking. It's just, point is moot. It's very clear.
Okay. So you recommend opposition? Right.
Yes.
All right, well, unfortunately, I mean, there's a next, well, anyway, I would entertain a motion. Oh, sorry, close. Anyone here to testify on behalf of the applicant? Anyone here to testify in opposition?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Faisal Sharif with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record in opposition to this proposal due to lack of community support, and I also know that the board historically has had issues related to front yard parking. Thank you.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Walter Applewhite, Council McCarthy's office would also like to go on record in opposition.
Can I have a motion, please?
I want to make a motion for denial.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Sorry, opposed tonight.
The next case, calling BOA 878-967, 11 Adams Street. This is a change of occupancy from a single family to a single family and office space. The violation is Article 69, Section 9. The floor to area ratio excessive. The attic living space is not proven to be legal and no record on file. Article 69, Section 29, off-street parking requirement is insufficient. And Article 69, Section 8, the office use is forbidden. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning again. My name is Cesar De Silva. I'm here representing my client Domingos Martinez. And here we are before you for asking for relief on the Article 69.09, which is the FAR, and the Article 69, Section 29, off-street parking, and Article 69.8, which is the forbidden use.
Okay, so you're proposing a change of occupancy from a single family to a single family and office space.
Correct. My client not too long ago bought this property, and the property has already 2 floors, showing the, if you see the plans, the first floor has already a kitchen and bathroom. Then when you realize it's only a family, but he would like to use upstairs as a residence and an office on the first floor. And this actually, it's right very close to Bowden Street in a commercial right across where used to be a nursing home.
You want the first floor to be both residential and office?
Just office.
Office first floor, residential second floor.
Correct, please.
Is it already being used as an office?
Yes, it was that way.
Has it been used as an office for a while?
It's been for a while, then you find out that it was the occupancy, which when he bought it, he didn't know, so he's coming before you to make it right and comply. But he has an office of tax, so...
It looks like a straightforward residential house, right?
It is a residential house, but right very close to a major park.
And what is the zoning in the area?
That is very close to a Bowden Street, which is...
Close, I asked what is...
That particular street is a residential area. Yeah.
Are there any other homes on that street that also...
Right across the street, there's a funeral home.
Okay, but that's 100%. The funeral home's not combined.
No, it's a funeral home. Oh, the funeral home has a residence on top, but that's been there for years, and it's right on the...
All right, how are the drawings, Mr. Kendall?
Drawings adequate. I have a couple of questions. Where's the funeral home? Number one.
On the street, do you know where Kane Square is? First Parish Church.
Yeah.
I don't have right on Bowden, where Bowden Church Street turns, which is across from his property. On Church Street and Bowden Street, there was a there.
Okay, and then the second part of that question is, I know this location very well, okay? So are you telling me that the signs that are hanging out front of there are illegal also?
Yeah, that's fine. So we think that's why we before you, that should be taken out, because that's actually should have a plaque. That's how we end up before you, because he didn't know that he shouldn't put a sign like that. Yeah. And
So how did it come, how did the violation occur?
I would assume mainly because of that sign. Because it isn't like if he could use, he had no sign, he would not bring, maybe the inspector passed by, he realized that.
Gone on doing it illegally.
Yeah, I don't, no.
Turned on. Do you know anything about this case?
I don't know anything specifically about the case, Mr. Chairman, but if you wanted ISD to take a look at the legality of the sign, we could do that.
Okay. Well, we very well may do that, but let's go through the testimony first. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the proponent?
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. Christine Brandale, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Like to go on record and support. They had, excuse me, had a butters meeting and several civic association meetings, and they also are in support. Thanks.
So before, and this is for both of you. So civic associations were supportive of a residence being used
As a business?
as a business?
Yes. Meeting house, sir.
That actually surprises me. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joe McEachran, City Council, Frank Baker's office, would like to go on record and support. These guys attended several meetings, and the abutters and the civic were all okay with it, so.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. The signs that are there now, they were associated with a previous business or the current?
No, it was current business. He didn't, that's why when he put it there, he didn't know. That's why he hired me then to come and correct, because he didn't know that particular process, and that's why I'm before you.
Proposing to remove the signs?
Yes, you proposed him to remove the sign. When I explained to him, he said, oh, he would have taken, he didn't realize. The sign, actually, his type of business is mostly on calls. People make appointments for tax. The people there already knows. That sign doesn't help him as much. It's not.
Which one, the one on the roof or the one in the front yard?
The one on the roof.
So he has two signs that he thinks doesn't help him.
Yes, if
I
you
find
want.
that a little disingenuous.
Nobody come in before telling you.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion to approve with the sign removal.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so you can proceed with the office, but you need to remove the signs.
Thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 889-398, 18A Rockville Park. This is a change of occupancy from a 3 to a 4 family, also add dormers and extend rear staircase to the 4th floor. The violation is Article 50, Section 43, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 50, Section 28, 4 apartments is a conditional use in a 3F 4,000 sub-district. Article 50, Section 29, additional lot area is insufficient. Article 50, Section 29, the floor area ratio is excessive. Article 50, Section 29, the building height is excessive in stories. Article 50, Section 29, the building height is excessive in feet. Article 50, Section 29, the usable open space is insufficient. Article 50, Section 29, the front yard is insufficient. Article 50, Section 29, the side yard is insufficient. And Article 50, Section 29, the rear yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Matt Peckel with Drago Toscano, business address of 15 Broad Street here in Boston. With me today is Tanya Carrier, the architect for this project, and Oleg Elisa on behalf of 18A Rockville Park. As mentioned, we're seeking to change the legal occupancy from a 3-family to a 4-family dwelling, renovate the building, including dormers, and extend the rear staircase to the 4th floor. Currently, all 4 units are in existing condition. We're seeking to keep the bedroom count the same, and essentially all of the living space is staying the same. We're just adding the dormers to give a little more head height in some of the living space. The lot size is 2,545 square feet in a 3F 4,000 zoning district. In terms of the violations, The height and all setbacks are pre-existing conditions, so the violations of note are use, allowed as a 3F, we're proposing a 4-family. FAR, 0.8's allowed, we're at about 2.0 right now, going up to 2.1 with that slight increase in living space. And we're required to have one additional off-street parking space, which we do not have. Again, the 4th unit that we're trying to legalize would be a 2-bedroom unit. In previous renditions of the plans, it was shown as a 3, but through community process, we've agreed to make that a 2-bedroom unit, so the bedroom count stays the same. We've also agreed to condominiumize the building, which the neighborhood was happy to hear. And I've also submitted a letter of support from the Roxbury Path Community Group, as we had a very robust community process going through multiple abutter and Roxbury Path meetings. At this point, I'll pause and take any questions.
So the additional unit, the space for the additional unit is gained by putting dormers on the 4th floor in order to get ceiling height on the 4th floor?
Correct. Well, it's an existing unit that already is a 2-bedroom unit, full kitchen and everything. This would just allow for a little bit more living space.
What's the floor to ceiling height in the attic, you know?
7'6".
All right. How are the drawings that you can tell?
Drawings adequate.
Why is this come for rediscussion? I don't recall.
We deferred just for more community process. We had had an abutters meeting, and then a few abutters came forward, and the Roxbury Path Neighborhood Association requested that we come before them.
But it didn't come before this board this first time?
We came and deferred once.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the board? Is anyone here to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Sorry, good afternoon, Chair, members of the board. My name is Jessica Thomas with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, and we'd like to go on record to support. They have met with the butters and also the Neighborhood Association. Some of the abutters had concerns about density and parking, but by adding the 4th unit, it did trigger a need for the sprinkler system, which they felt would be safer.
So the house will be sprinklered?
Correct.
Okay, very good. And there's actually, you said there's no change in bedroom counts, right?
Correct, yes. If we didn't have the 4th unit, we'd have a 6-bedroom 3rd unit, so now we have a 4 and a 2.
Okay.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Chantal Beaton. I'm with the Office of Councilor Kim Janey's, and I would like to go on record that we are opposing this project.
Opposing?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Can you say why?
We've received emails and contacts from abutters saying that they would like to oppose this project.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve with continued...
Mike.
No? Are you testifying in favor or opposing?
Opposed.
Go ahead.
My name is Hubert McLean, and Mr. Sanchez here. We are butters to the property. Initially, there was a butters meeting. Everyone there opposed the project due to density and also reduced availability of parking. The street's a small little dead-end street. We're already maxed out when it comes to housing. Adding this unit, I think, is a straw that'll break the camel's back. This unit has 3 units. All 3 units are large units, 3 bedrooms each. Adding this 3rd unit is not going to meet the city's goal of more housing. It's going to end up, because all 3 units are vacant, already going to provide housing. What is it? This building is already built out to the max. The 4th unit was an illegal unit. The prior owner tried to turn it into a 4, but he was never successful. I don't understand what they say. This was a unit. It was never a unit. Always illegal. And the abutters were totally against this project. Why Path agreed to it, I'm not sure, but we were in contact with them. We tried to get them to change that, but they at least were able. They had initially said no abutters opposed it, but later on they changed it because that was a falsehood. All the abutters have been against this project from the beginning.
Okay, thank you.
Paul?
My name is My name is Jose Sanchez. I'm just coming to oppose about the project going on 18A Rockville Park. The reason being is the property is going to be, or it is, a three-family. By adding another unit on the fourth floor, which is the attic, that's going to be super overcrowded. Each unit right now is a 3 to 4 bedroom apartments. So you add another unit, since it's going to be super overcrowded. Plus, the other thing, the major problem that we're going to be facing on the neighborhood is the parking. As of now, we are okay, even though when it comes to the street cleaning, it gets a lot of problems. So, by you allowing these, permits to add another apartment and turning this into condominium, there's going to be a major discomfort and aggravations to the neighborhood. So I oppose to this. Thank you.
What's your address? Yes.
It's 18 Rockville Park. I'm next to 18A.
Okay, thank you.
All right? Thank you.
And I'm 14 Rockville Park.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any parking associated with this?
There is none. It's not existing, and because of the building footprint, there's no way to add it. I'd just like to reiterate that the living space is all legal right now, as I said. It's either a 6-bedroom, third unit, or by condominiumizing it, we're hoping to promote home ownership and families that come in knowing this isn't going to be a rental building that has 3 and 4 cars. So we actually contend that by turning it into condos and legalizing this 4th unit, it should alleviate some of those concerns.
Okay. Can I have a motion, please?
I want to make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design. Do we need that, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, continued BPDA design review.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Calling the last case for 11:30 rediscussions. Calling BOA 891-497-271 West 5th Street. Companion case to Building Code BOA 891-508-271 West 5th Street. This is the change of occupancy from a 1-family to a 2-family. Legalize a living space to the basement, full interior renovation, proposed new exterior egress stairs. The violations, Article 27S, Section 5, this is in the South Boston iPod. Article 68, Section 33, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 68, Section 8, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 68, Section 8, usable open space is insufficient. This is building code. This is the 9th edition, 780 CMR 1028. This is exit discharge. Section 1028.5, access to a public way. The exit discharge shall provide a direct and unobstructed access to a public way. Name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, I'm Stephen Miller, McDermott, 1428 State Street in Boston. With me is our architect, Scott Trenier, and also our contractor representing the owner, Victor DeMore. We've been acting on this, we've done further community outreach. We're seeking approval to legalize an existing 2-family. One of the abutters is here who can confirm that this has been used as a 2-family for decades. And I did give you pictures of when the property was taken over, to electric meters, to gas meters, to hot water heaters. And the architect can confirm the as-builts when he was brought into this project showed 2 units. So we're here to legalize that.
And it's been taxed for assessment?
It had not been taxed as 2. It had been used as 2 for as far as we can figure for decades. As part of this process, we're upgrading the fire alarm and sprinkler and the public safety issues. In discussing this with the abutters and the people in the neighborhood, this was a property that was not kept up very well, and that the person was not a very good neighbor. So as part of this process, they're looking forward to this renovation. We also agreed there was one, not an abutter, but a neighbor across the street who's an absentee landlord that has a 2-family project, and was concerned about students because there was an issue not at this building, but in the abutting building to her. We've agreed to not only put in a decision that we would not rent to students or let students occupy the premises. As part of this, my client finds that very easy because we're spending a significant amount of money in renovating this property, and we're not doing that to bring in students.
So how is that practically and legally going to be enforced?
So legally, it would be in our leases that obviously we wouldn't rent to a student, but also that they could not. So if a parent did it, and they'd have to acknowledge that they would not allow students to occupy the premises.
Okay.
Solely if they're occupying it as a family, obviously that's something we would not restrict, but solely for students, we were restricted.
Counsel, I'm looking at the house right now. Obviously, there's been work that's already been done, correct?
Work has been done.
And then the front looks like where a bulkhead would be to get to the basement, is that out in the sidewalk? Or is that on the property line?
It is actually on the property line.
It is. Never seen anything like that.
So
I didn't either until I went. Excuse me.
The refusal letter mentions legalized living space in the basement. That's existing living space?
There is existing living space in the basement, not legal. So we are looking to extend the living down to the basement and incorporate some more living space for the lower unit, since there is a walkout to the back of the property, and we have the ceiling height of 8.7 existing.
Okay, and is there an internal staircase from the first floor to the basement?
There is an internal staircase, correct, from the first floor to the basement, and walkout. We also have the sprinkler room through that common access in the front, and then once you bypass the sprinkler room, there's also access off the street direct down to the lower level as well. So you go through there's a common ante-room, sprinkler room.
So how does a person on the second unit get to the utilities? Second floor?
It's a common access right off the street. So when you go in that door right off the street down to the basement, that's all common. You have a common ante-space at the bottom of the stair. To the left, the sprinkler room, and in front, there's a door that goes into the first floor.
There doesn't need to be internal access? Mr. O'Donnell?
I haven't seen the plans, Mr. Chairman, I'd have to take a look at it.
Will you take a quick look?
Sure.
In the meantime, how the plans look to you, Mr. Kendall?
Sure. So here is the common access from West Fifth Street going down to the basement. And this is all open and common. So then we have access to the sprinkler room directly off that space. And this is just an accessory door to unit 1. That's a full height door. And we have 8'7" in the basement.
They would have common access to the sprinkler room in the front, Mr. Chairman.
Through the exterior of the building?
Correct.
There seems to be a door on West Fifth Street, a set of stairs down.
There doesn't need to be internal access?
No, as long as it's common.
Okay. Okay. Is anyone here to speak on behalf of the application?
Hi, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Haley Dillon, Mayor's Office Neighborhood Services. We came into this a little bit late. They already had the community process. I met with Victor and George, the direct abutters, personally last Friday. Victor has been very helpful working with George and his wife. Joe and his wife. They work well with each other. I haven't heard any other complaints, so we'd like to go ahead and talk in support of this project.
Legalize the living space. Exit discharge. This is a building.
Okay.
So you get cited for building code. We're just talking about that right now.
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead with the testimony. Sorry.
My name is Joe Power. I live at 269 West Fifth. My wife and I live there and own the property since 1981. For quite a while now, the building's been vacant. It's been a source of concern for both of us. Before moving to this area, I was volunteer firefighter and EMT. Fire safety and security are extremely important to me. After talking with the contractor, I find that the fire prevention, alarm, and suppression systems will be introduced. This pleases me a great deal. I'm sure that in the course of the work, attention will be given especially to appliances and systems that involve natural gas and electricity. I have confidence that Mike Nee and his associates will do their due diligence in both rough and final inspections. And as I understand it, the owner of the building will be hiring maintenance people to make sure that the environment stays safe. Everything I say applies whether the building is one family or two. No objection to a two-family building. My wife and I don't have cars. The parking issue is of no interest to us. If people get rowdy, there's always Station 6. They've been very accommodating. I'm in support of moving forward with this proposal because of the fire safety features and because it causes no harm to us. Now, by the way, the contractor will also be taking care of some 271 issues that were detrimental to us in the past, such as drainage in the front, giving us all the ice. We're downhill. Drainage in the back, flooding the backyard. We'll also clean up the back of the yard and remove an offensive tree. I see some pluses for my wife and myself. I don't see a downside for us in moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. O'Donnell, we have two issues. We have the zoning, request for zoning code relief and also building code issue. Building code issue is section 9780 CM 1028 exit discharge, section 1028.5 access to public way. The exit discharge shall provide a direct and unobstructed access to a public way. Do we need to provide relief from that? Building code relief?
Mr. Chairman, on these houses and other neighborhoods in the city, they are built such that the yards connect in the back. They're row houses, so you can't get to the front street. Typically, for example, in South End, they have common alleyways back there. But in this particular case, from the plan that I see on the mortgage inspection plan, the back of 271 would release into the backyard, and then I guess much like a fire escape on upper levels, you'd have to traverse over someone else's property until you get to a public way. So the concern would be to account for the people and make sure they can get away from the building.
So given that they've been cited for this building code violation, would you recommend that the court grant relief?
I think we're not in opposition to grant relief, is probably the better way to state that.
How diplomatic. Okay.
Go to building code,
That's the abutters property. All these, in the rear of all these properties, all the fences have gates in them so people can traverse between the various properties through the, they all have the same issue.
As long as they make it better for lawn chairs, right?
No, it's fine. We do have enough space out in the backyard, fortunately.
Huh? Okay, can I have a motion on the building code issue?
Make a motion to grant relief for the building code.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Now go to the project.
And, pardon?
Approve the project.
Yeah, and now we're looking for, oh. Ross? Oh, he's speaking in opposition?
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
We hear favor. Oh, that's right. I apologize.
Okay, it's okay. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in opposition to this project. We oppose this project for reason of community process. The City Side Neighborhood Association informed us the development team committed to coming to the civic group and present to them and the abutters, but they never did. Neighbors and abutters are concerned this is a bad precedent to set. Thank you.
So what is the bad precedent they're worried about setting?
So they were told that they were gonna present to the community at the neighborhood association.
Your issue is about process?
Yes, mostly, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, on behalf of City Council Lodge Michael Flaherty. Due to the communal process that went into drafting Article 68, the council is going to go on record in opposition.
Well, I do respect both councilors. We had enough community process to build the whole block as part of this.
Okay.
You opposing as well?
Yes. Can you come to the mic, name and address for the record, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Tobin. I represent an owner across the street, Teresa O'Sullivan, and the board has my letter that I submitted stated February 6, 2019, and Mrs. O'Sullivan's concerns center around complaints that she's got from the people who occupy her house that there are parties and, you know, students, et cetera, and I just don't see how one would enforce a no student lease situation. The proponents are not living in the unit. They are developers, and there's nothing to prevent them from selling the building and the next owner doing something else. So her letter is in your file, and the concerns center around noise, congestion, and parking.
Okay. So this goes back to my question for you, Mr. Miller, about, you know, legally what you can do to really guarantee.
Well, first of all, this client doesn't live with the property either and has managed to maintain her property without students and noise, and so I don't think there's we have numerous clients. Obviously, we represent many landlords that have properties in Allston, Brighton, that commit to the community that they're not going to rent to students, and they don't. I haven't seen one case where a parent or a student has filed any sort of charges to get into a facility that they're not wanted.
All right, so we've had a motion on the building code relief question. I'm looking for a motion on approval of or disapproval of the project as a whole.
I'm going to make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design review.
I think it's all internal.
You think it's all internal? Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve this project.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Mr. Chair, that concludes our committee. Now we have the zoning for the advisory of the subcommittee. Are you folks waiting for a particular project?
Yes.
Folks in the back, yes. I can't hear you. You're going to have to come up and speak up, please.
Page 5. Oh, no.
No, right here. Just what particular project?
It's 65 Silver Street. We have subcommission. Unfortunately, we had a family emergency on the 25th, and we couldn't show up.
Yeah, unfortunately, you were denied at the subcommittee, and you'd have to talk with legal here, the Silver Street. They didn't show up.
Oh, so that's going to have to get rescheduled.
You're going to have to get rescheduled for the next subcommittee. And you can talk to Antonella, or somebody in the office can help her out, right?
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. You folks are waiting for what? Just tell me the address, sir.
432 Baker Street.
What is it?
432 Baker Street.
Which is 1000 VFW Parkway? That project was approved at the subcommittee. There's no hearing on it. It was already approved.
Good. You okay?
It was approved at the subcommittee. No, it's already been approved.
It was already approved in another meeting, and it's done.
Something separate, like about the fence.
It had nothing to do. It's already been approved at the last subcommittee. You guys were there at the last subcommittee.
So that's
You didn't need to come here, no? Okay, so I'm going to call them into the subcommittee, which was heard on Thursday, April 25th, down at 1010 Mass Ave. The first case, BOA 853-552, 146 to 146 8 Bunker Hill Street, was approved. It was to legalize occupancy reflect the real estate bill, change from one family to a two. Two cases, BOA 903-6234 Melrose Street, BOA 903-638 Melrose Street, was to construct a new dormer in the rear of the house. It was approved. Case BOA 911-535-546 East Broadway was a change of occupancy to include body art establishment. It was approved. Case BOA 803677, 65 Silver Street, was denied without prejudice for a no-show. Case BOA 892-543, 616 to 618 East 8th Street, was deferred to 6/20/2019 to the subcommittee. Case BOA 909-589-143 to 153 Washington Street, which was a change of occupancy from a bakery to a restaurant. It was approved with BPDA and takeout. Case BOA 925-117, 64 Radcliffe Road. It was a new second-floor addition with 3 bedrooms. It was approved. Case BOA 927-697, 12 Scribner Road. It was to confirm Oxby as a single-family and construct a new second-floor addition. It was approved with BPDA. Case BOA 917-260, 16 Hawthorne Street. It was to build an addition on the top side of the house, build a deck behind the house. It was approved with BPDA. Case BOA 920-781, 47 Cummins Highway was heard today. Case BOA 909-363, 48 Murray Hill Road was a single-family dwelling installing parking space. It was denied without prejudice. Case BOA 918-630, 1100 VFW Parkway was a use of land for an exclusive easement agreement. It was approved. Case BOA 923-297, 24 Bellamy Street, was to clarify an existing building as a two-family. No work to be done was approved. And for the hearing rediscussion, case BOA 893-086, 871 Grampian Way. It was erected detached one-car garage with storage. It was approved. That concludes the subcommittee. We need a motion for approval.
I make a motion for approval.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of the recommendation subcommittee, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Well, motion carries, and that is the end of the hearing for April 30th. Thank you very much.